boy Roy Jones Jr. and right now you're tuning into World Combat Sports.
What's going on, everyone? Thanks for tuning in once again. You're listening to World Combat Sports. Appreciate everybody that's in the building. Yeah, just a couple of days out from Christmas. You know what it is. Shout out to the supporters of WCS in 2020. We're looking forward to 21 and getting this popping once again. But the whole process is to basically increase the viewership of the channel. So like I say all the time, if you really messing with the channel and support me, I shouldn't have to tell you to hit the like button 25 to 50 times during the live streams. You know what I'm saying? If you really appreciate the content and support the channel, just hit that like button, sub to the channel, pass the word to others to come sub to the channel, and that's how you grow. You know what I'm saying? That's where we at right now. Alexander in the building, salute to you. That's what's up. That's where we at right now. This is holiday boxing talk. Of course, at the end of the year, man, it's not much going on with boxing, but there are always topics to talk about in the sport of boxing. Always. And most interesting right now is indeed the topics of discussion dealing with Teofimo Lopez and what his moves is going to be in 21. And also the recent events dealing with Jermall Charlo and Errol Spence Jr. It seems like both of them are chasing the same boxer. And does it all make sense right now? We're not talking about Jermall Charlo. We're talking about Jermall Charlo and Errol Spence facing the same fighter in Canelo Alvarez. And that's going to be my first topic. I think it's very clear and present that it seems like certain people are being reactive instead of proactive in trying to get this fight made. And we're going to touch bases on why I feel that way. Sir Ken in the building. What's good? Salute. So this is the way I look at it, right? As I mentioned so many times without retreading information. And shout out to Team Williams Jr. You know what it is, man. 2021, big and better things. This is what it is with Errol Spence, right? He criticized Crawford for showing up at his fight. But yet, he's chasing the coattails of Canelo Alvarez. That's all he's doing. He's chasing the coattails of Canelo Alvarez. He wants the big money fight. But yet, he's trying to fool us into believing that we're naive, deficient, and unaware that he's giving us two different talking points. 2, 3, 4, 5 different talking points. First, he says he's on the verge. If you're on the verge of cleaning out the welterweight division, then allow yourself to complete the mission. You need to organize yourself. You need to get with your team and get some organization skills as to what you want to put out here to the media. If you're on the verge of cleaning out the welterweight division, cool. If you want to chase Canelo, you know that's going to be a long damn chase for you. It's not going to be a sprint. It's going to be sort of a marathon. Why do I say that? I say it because Canelo Alvarez has made it perfectly clear that he will face Errol Spence in the future. The future to me is a marathon. It's a longer distance than a sprint, right? So therefore, he's looking forward to face Errol Spence in the future. In the future. So why the fuck are you at the zone? Canelo's saying, and you should know this already, Canelo is saying that his intentions is organized. Canelo is organizing his goals, man, as a fighter. With 54 victories, he's organized in his plan of attack, his POA, his plan of attack. Canelo Alvarez is organized, y'all. What do I mean by organized? He just gave you his intention. His number one priority is unifying the super middleweight division. That's what Canelo Alvarez wants to do. Top pound for pound fighter in the sport of boxing. That's what he wants to do. He's the leader of the motherfucking pack. And I know a lot of people don't like that, but we're going to get to Terence Crawford, though. So Canelo is organized, and he has put it out there on what he planned on doing. You know, he wants to clean out or so-called, unify the entire super middleweight division. With that said, why isn't Spence looking at it in the same way? Why is it Spence organized? You just came off a car accident. Then you had to face Danny Garcia. That fight really did anything except prove to the people that you're mechanically functioning on a level for which you left the sport periodically on a hiatus to recover from your accident. And I never want to say an accident was at an opportune time, because I would be absolute. That would come off absolutely the wrong way. But I'm talking about the pandemic as far as him having time off. The sport of boxing was in a state of idleness anyway. Like nothing was really going on during that time. So for him to fight once in 2020, it really didn't make too much of a difference. For him to face Danny Garcia really didn't make too much of a difference. It's just basically proved to the people, okay, let me give you a vision on how I look as a fighter. You know what I'm saying? How am I looking as a fighter coming off an accident? Now, what he should be doing and focus on is the task at hand in his current division. Errol Spence, we don't want to hear anything about you trying to get a fight with Canelo Alvarez at 60. I don't give a damn what weight Errol Spence walks around at. What weight do you compete at? What weight? This ain't the first three fights where you've been competing at 154. This isn't the first three fights. You've been competing majority of your career at the welterweight 147-pound limit. So therefore, why don't you just say, you know what? I have plans in the future of facing Canelo Alvarez. But don't play around and think you have your boxing audience on a string. Just say, okay, this is a puppet show. I'm going to go over here and say I'm on the verge of cleaning out the welterweight division, but yet I'm chasing Canelo around, and I want to go over here and show up at the zone and act like that fight is somewhere on the immediate horizon. And that fight isn't on the immediate horizon. It isn't. Canelo didn't mention your name. When somebody asked him about, dropping back down to 160, and they mentioned motherfucking Charlo, what was Canelo's response, man? Was it say, yeah, I'll fight Canelo? I'll fight Charlo. Yeah, sure. That wasn't his response. He said, my priority is the 168-pound division. He's letting you know that's the 168-pound division as far as the lineup for which he's trying to execute, people. Now, all of a sudden, we have Errol Spence that's trying to get him at 160, which is all for naught because he's not coming down to 160 to fight Errol Spence anytime soon if he's holding weight. You think he's going to weight cut and go down to fight Errol Spence, who's moving up for a payday, and you want it in your backyard in Texas? What you going to do? Go in there and try to negotiate and play hardball with the pound for pound king? It ain't going to fucking work. It's not going to fucking work, Errol. You're going to have to go in there and take what Canelo Alvarez gives you, and hopefully you come out there with a draw or victory. You know what I'm saying? That's the only thing you can hope for, a draw or victory, because you ain't knocking them out. I'm just keeping it 100. I don't care if you haven't never fought at 60 and you walk around at 200. You ain't knocking out Canelo Alvarez. So anybody and everybody that has that narrative that Errol Spence is going to move up to 60, he's used to walking around at above light heavyweight. That's because of lack of discipline. That's what that is. That's just a lack of discipline with him walking around that way. He even said to himself, he makes it harder on himself because he balloons up in weight. So if that's the case, don't come up here with this narrative as if he's going to be the one to stop Canelo Alvarez. It ain't fucking happening. Now, can it be a war? Absolutely, that shit can be a war. Absolutely. It can be a war. But let me put Errol Spence to the side. Let me get to some in chat. What's going on, Terrence Bailey? Salute, man. Salute, vet. What's good? Michael Lewis, P. Scott, Ken, and everyone else. Canelo shit down all day. EJ talking about either fight Bud or shut up and wait. Alvarez feels like dealing with you. You know what I'm saying? Hey, I agree. This is all I'm trying to say. You know, and I don't like mentioning black fighters, you know, to a point, because blacks in general, especially when it comes to the media, you always want to use the same terms all the time. First is HATING, so-and-so's hating. Then if I'm supporting your black ass, it's, oh, he clout chasing. He clout chasing. And then he's dick riding. You know what I'm saying? But check this out, though. But check this out. I don't understand why you have two black fighters, Errol Spence Jr., who's a popular fighter, Jermall Charlo, who's a popular fighter. Why aren't y'all able to go out here and execute the proper way like the Canelo Alvarez and Teofimo Lopez did? Why aren't y'all able to execute? Y'all signed to a promotion company, right? If PBC is in the bright lights, why are y'all all over the place and we smarter? We're smarter than this shit. We're smarter than that. Focus on the division that you're at currently there, Errol Spence. That is the welterweight division. You have campaigned in your fourth fight all the way up to now. And all I've been hearing is Errol Spence, his resume is better than Bud at welterweight. It's supposed to be better than Bud at welterweight. Why wouldn't it be? But look, check this out. If you want to talk about the first 5 fights that Terence Crawford had, comparable to the first 5 fights that Errol Spence had at welterweight, then we're talking. Because there's no comparison. Errol Spence didn't face no undefeated fighters his first 5 fights at welterweight. He didn't face no undefeated fighters. But don't come to me and tell me, oh, he was just starting off his career. Oh, all I hear is welterweight, Terence Crawford, Errol Spence. So therefore, y'all want to compare what he's done recently in the welterweight division, comparable to Terence Crawford having 5 fights in the welterweight division. They don't even add up. They don't even come close. And I know a lot of people are going to say, well, Bud, okay, if Bud was already in the sport competing, then give him his credit for being a multi-division champion. Just give him his credit. Give him his credit for being a multiple division champion. That's what he deserved. Don't sit up here and say, well, let me find another way to decapitate what he's done in the sport of boxing, only because, right, he decided to move up and add another layer to his credential and challenge an active current champion who defeated an 8th division champion opponent. He defeated Jeff Horn right off the rip. And then you have motherfuckers saying why he didn't go over there to the IBF and wait on Spence. One thing I did learn in life, especially being in the military, is that leaders aren't for everybody. Leaders make different types of choices. They always teach you as a leader, you have to understand what's supposed to happen. And in order for you to understand what's supposed to happen before it happened, you have to plan accordingly. You have to be proactive. And I'm just keeping as clear as I possibly can. You have to imagine where you want to go. You have to assess the risk for which you're trying to take, and you have to plan accordingly. Proper planning prevents piss poor performance. If Terence Crawford would have went over there and waited, he would have looked stupid. He would have looked stupid waiting on Errol Spence. What if Errol Spence would have said, why I gotta face you for? You haven't even beat nobody. It would be the same motherfucking excuse again. You haven't defeated nobody, man. You come up here from the 140-pound division. You haven't defeated no one, Terence. That would have been the excuse of Errol Spence. I'm just talking in hindsight. I'm just talking in hindsight. You haven't fought nobody. Well, I'm not the only one that know this shit. If Terence Crawford would have went over there to the IBF route and tried to face Errol Spence without facing a named opponent, it would have been like, why you didn't go over there and get the belt off Jeff Horn? You were scared? Why you coming over here for me? You haven't fought nobody. You haven't did this. You haven't did that. He would have been doing the same shit he's doing, facing other opposition that's in the welterweight division without a belt. So in my opinion, Terence Crawford did what was smart. He went up there to the WBO, defeated Jeff Horn, and then kept it moving from there. Now he still holds the title and waiting on Errol Spence to make that decision on what he chooses to do in fighting Terence Crawford. What's going on, Transcendent Sports Channel? Saluting, brother. Thanks for pulling up again, man. Michael said Crawford versus Spence Jr. Charlo would be a nice payday to set up sometime, something epic. I agree. Truly agree. But peep this though. I would rather just to change lanes a little bit. I would rather see Jermall Charlo, who's been campaigning at the 60-pound division. I would rather see him face Canelo Alvarez first. I would rather see him face Canelo Alvarez first because he's been campaigning at the division. I could give a damn if Errol Spence, who has said his intention is to become undisputed at welterweight. I really don't want to see him move up 2 divisions to take a L. Because he's going to take a L. I'm telling you, Errol Spence will take a L against Canelo. He ain't knocking him out, and he's not going in there outboxing Canelo. Man, people living off the culture. People just want to go off popularity. They're afraid to make the choice. I've been wrong in my predictions, but I wasn't wrong with Teofimo Lopez. While everybody was saying that Lomachenko was going to whoop his ass and beat him down, I feel pretty good about this one. I feel good if Errol Spence moves up 2 divisions to a guy like Canelo Alvarez, who has been known to place stipulations in the contract. What the fuck you going to do, Spence? You're going to move up and say you're going to take a fight at 160, right? That's if Canelo even entertains you, right? You're going to take a fight at 160, and you're going to be calling the shots. Isn't that why Charlo haven't been taken seriously? Because he was the one up here trying to tell Canelo, bring your ass down to 160. What the fuck did Canelo do? He haven't even shown Charlo any goddamn attention. He hasn't shown Charlo any fucking attention. Like, dude, come on. And look, he did Charlo a favor by becoming the first franchise champion. He allowed Charlo to pick up the WBC belt, right? Charlo said, you got to come down to 160. Now, all of a sudden, Jermall Charlo is saying, hey, Canelo, I come up to 68 to fight you. Oh, he wants to come up to 68 and fight him now. That all the talk is he wants to face Billy Joe Saunders or Caleb Plant. He wants to unify the division at 168. And then you got David Benavidez that's chilling up there without a title because he missed weight and fucked up. So my point is, if Jermall Charlo wants to be taken serious and moving up to this 168-pound division, face David Benavidez first. Isn't that how y'all always talk? Oh, face somebody that's up there already. Face this person, face that person. Because I don't see Canelo Alvarez giving Jermall Charlo first dibs at 168-pound division when he's just been sitting there chilling at the middleweight division, just doing what he's doing. And, initially demanded that Canelo say, hey, Canelo, you come back down to 60. Canelo said, okay. Okay. All right, see, senor. He hasn't even thought about Jermall Charlo. Look, Canelo Alvarez hasn't even thought about nobody in the damn 160-pound division, dog. He fought Rocky Fielding. He fought Sergey Kovalev. He fought Callum Smith. He's not fucking thinking about 160-pound division. Ill-advised decisions, brothers. From the same fucking promotion. It don't look, I'm not talking about the money you being paid down there at PBC. I'm not talking about the money you being paid. I'm talking about your decision making right now and what you represent as a whole in boxing. What's going on, money man? Salute, salute. Shout out IB. So, when I look at Charlo and I look at Errol Spence, they're running from behind. When they had an opportune gateway, an open door to go out here and make these decisions like Canelo has been doing. Did they not? Canelo was tied into another contract and people was like, oh, you're not fighting premier fighters. Okay. But yet he's been fighting in higher divisions where people thought he'd never contend in. He's been moving up and challenging himself. Have Charlo had the opportunity to move up and challenge himself? Yes. All the way up to Sergey Derevyanchenko, what was his opposition? Did people respect his opposition as a middleweight champion? Did they? I mean, yeah, he defeated Sergey Derevyanchenko. It was a little bit tougher than people thought. The reason why people want to give Jermall Charlo credit for beating him, and really, he fucked him up in his own way. He did. Was because he stepped in there with Triple G. A lot of people thought Sergey Derevyanchenko defeated Triple G. That's why they gave Jermall Charlo big time credit for defeating Sergey Derevyanchenko. But right now, what's irritating to me is that Errol Spence is calling out a fighter who isn't showing him any attention either. We have two black fighters chasing. And I'm asking Errol Spence, I'm switching lanes again. I'm asking Errol Spence, which is it that you want to be? You want to be a person that's making the decisions, a leader, or you want to be the motherfucker that's running from behind, a follower who's trying to be reactive? Right now, you pretty much being reactive. You chasing. You're running behind trying to chase up to the bag. You've been campaigning in a single division, just like Triple G. You've been sitting here long enough. Why you didn't earn a championship early in your career? You weren't ready? Because to me, it's irritating that so many people dog out Terence Crawford for what, him moving up to the welterweight division, and they choose to act like he haven't did anything because they're comparing him to Errol Spence. But what has Errol Spence did single-handedly in the welterweight division that basically elevates him, that separates him from Terence Crawford? What has he done? He's even behind Terence Crawford on the pound-for-pound list. Are y'all clueless? Why is it so easy for you all to compare what Errol Spence has done in the welterweight, but you don't compare what Terence Crawford has done in his entire career? Isn't Terence Crawford more accomplished than Errol Spence? Absolutely he is. So it doesn't matter if you continue to compare the 5 fights that Terence Crawford's had. You can't do it. You cannot compare the 5 fights that Terence Crawford has had in the welterweight division when you're not going to compare those 5 fights that he's had in the welterweight division to the first 5 fights Errol Spence had in the welterweight division. You can't do it. You're going to say, oh, it's unfair. That doesn't make any sense. It make a lot of sense. Because, motherfucker, if you're going to sit up here and say Terence Crawford is moving up to a new division and all the accolades that Errol Spence has been able to accomplish as of recent, then you need to understand that we're not comparing the first 5 fights of Errol Spence in the welterweight division. We're comparing to what he's been able to do recently. We're talking about a fighter who's had several fights in that division. Several fucking fights. Who did it better? Terence Crawford, moving into his 3rd division, defeating a champion and defending his belt 4 times? I think he did it better. That's just me. I think he did it better. Look at who he's been able to fight. Just because they're not a favorite on your list, he fought who was there accessible to him to fight. It wasn't like you had all the other fighters running up trying to do negotiations with Terence Crawford. We can't sit up here and pretend and put on a charade like that. Why is Errol Spence being heralded as if he's making all these big time decisions? Like he's the damn greatest welterweight of all time. Has he did more than freaking Zab Judah? Has he did more than Corey Spinks? Has he even came close to unifying the division yet? I'm talking about undisputed. That was Errol Spence's goal, right? So let's just answer that. That was rhetorical. The answer is no. So right now, who is Errol Spence waiting on? Is he going to fight Manny Pacquiao or is he going to fight Terence Crawford? Does he have enough confidence to fight Terence Crawford first? To come out the gate in 21 and then fight Pacquiao, or fight Pacquiao first? Let me answer that question too. Being that the way that he decided to fight Sean Porter and say he'll take the easiest fight tells me that he's willing to fight Manny Pacquiao first. That's his decision-making process. He said, you know what? I'm just gonna tell him I'm gonna take the easier fight first. Just like he did Sean Porter. Why wouldn't I go the Sean Porter route? It sounds like duck language to me. I'll take the Sean Porter route. Let me get to some of these. Transcendent Sports said Canelo versus Spence is a mismatch. That's what I'm talking about. Canelo versus Spence is a mismatch. I totally agree. It's a fight that shouldn't happen. Why is Spence pushing this fight? Why he still needs to do this thing with Crawford and other welterweights? Just my thoughts. That's a damn good thought. You know what? I gotta post that shit up there. You know, that's a damn good thought. Shout out to Transcendent Sports. That's a damn good thought. You know what I'm saying? Michael said, cause Spence know that he's going to lose if it's just Crawford. I agree with that also. I do understand and believe that, man. You know what I'm saying? We're not talking about money, man. You need to understand what channel you on, bro. You're talking about past tense. We ain't talking about who he fought at 140. We ain't talking about none of that. We ain't talking about building up to this. All we're talking about is comparing to where they at currently, Errol Spence and Crawford. Why I said comparing Terence Crawford fights in welterweight division comparable to Errol Spence first 5 fights. Not first 5 fights in his professional career, his first 5 fights at welterweight, because he started off at 154. All that and Dungo bullshit and all that, who cares? The man on BoxRec is a motherfucking champion. Undisputed. He is a 3-division champion. I can go and tear down freaking, what's his name too? How many times did he fight for the vacant title? Vasil Lomachenko. How many times did he fight for a vacant title? But it's a lot of people on here that was hyping him up, but they wasn't mentioning how many times he fought for a vacant title. Did he fight Gary Russell for a vacant title? Then Gary Russell dropped down a weight? Absolutely he did. Absolutely. Absolutely. So why y'all keep on recycling motherfucking styrofoam damn narratives? I don't have time for that shit, bro. Who gives a fuck what happened in 140 besides Undisputed? On BoxRec, that shit is official. Official. It is official for Terence Crawford. Nobody's talking about Bundu. Nobody's talking about, don't come in here using the same language. I might figure out who you are behind the damn account. Don't basically come in here with the same language. Bundu would lose, but man, we ain't doing no damn comparison of previous opponents to who they will fight in Terence Crawford resume. The fact is they didn't fight him. The fact is they have no intentions of ever stepping in the ring with that individual. So it's pointless to even bring that up. It's pointless. We're talking about what Errol Spence has in front of him at the welterweight division. We're talking about who he's connected to. Errol Spence is connected to Terence Crawford right now. He put it out there that he wanted to unify the entire division for Undisputed. Am I right or wrong, people? Am I right or wrong? Did Errol Spence not say that he wanted to unify the welterweight division? He did. So nobody gives a damn about all this. Let's take Terence Crawford, what he did at 40, and put him up against this. But let's look at Errol Spence's first 5 fights at welterweight comparable to Terence Crawford's first 5 fights at welterweight. If we really want to be petty, if WCS really want to be petty, let's look at Errol Spence's first 5 fights and look at Terence Crawford's 5 fights. I haven't heard nobody compare that. Y'all comparing everything else. Y'all comparing everything else. But when you take a person that is entering a division, and then you say, let me just take what Terence Crawford has did at welterweight, comparable to what Errol Spence has accomplished recently at welterweight. Then you leave the door open for me to say, you know what? If you up here saying what Terence Crawford has did since he's joined the welterweight division, I'm entitled to say, what has Errol Spence did in the same manner, in the same facet as Terence Crawford? What does his first 5 fights look? And then they're going to say, man, you can't fucking say that, man. Fuck that, nigga. You can't say that shit. It ain't the same. Errol Spence, you know, he didn't compete at welterweight until his 4th fight. He was competing at 154. I said, okay, cool. So do the math, 3, 4. So I'm not going to do that, okay? Let's just say 7 professional fights. We take the 3, all right? And 2 plus 2 equals 5. You know what I'm saying? I mean, come on. What are we talking about, man? You know, I'm trying to put some humor in this motherfucker. Like, people will actually sit up here and say, that shit ain't done. 5 plus 5 is, listen, first 3 fights, 154. And then we take the 5 fights that he was competing at welterweight. What is that? That's 8, right? So all we're talking about is the first 5 fights that he has had at welterweight, which would be his 8th professional fight, right? So if you're going to take Terence Crawford accolades and try to wash him down the drain because he moved up from 40 as an undisputed champion to 47, then basically what you're saying is all you are recognizing is Terence Crawford achievements at 147. You say fuck everything else he's accomplished in his career. We're talking about comparing him to Errol Spence. So if that is indeed the case, I can be petty and say, okay, compare them, their first 5 fights at welterweight. You know what I'm saying? Milo Grogan, what's good? Big up comeback. EJ said he only fighting at 70% at the 147-pound division. He's draining to make weight, so he don't feel confident. Let me put that coming up there. He's draining to make weight, so he don't feel confident beating Bud, in my opinion. Talk to him, Grogan. And shout out to everything boxing and sports, man. And definitely, if you fuck with YouTube and you tune in to some this boxing channels out here, be sure to tune in to everything boxing and sports, man. Go support the channel and check out their content. You know, he have a plethora of hosts over there. You know, primarily Money Brown over there. Go check him out, subscribe, and support the channel, man. Appreciate the donation, my brother. He says, salute. SW, keep shooting them facts. You know, I know I'm gonna tell you, not to get off subject. I know everything boxing is basically totally opposite of what I'm talking about right now. But they've had some fire interviews with Terence Crawford. I mean, Bo Mac's son on Terence Crawford and all that. If y'all have an opportunity, go check that shit out, man. That shit was fire. It had a lot of solid points in that live stream. So go check that shit out. Money say Crawford is ducking if he doesn't take 60. Man, you know, see, I'm trying to entertain and keep you on the live chat. You know what I'm saying? You ain't saying that utterly, you know, stupid. But everything boxing sports, appreciate the donation, my brother. You're not saying something that's not boxing related, but you keep saying the same shit. Like, I don't want to consider you a temporary when it comes to boxing, but when I read comments like you putting in there, listen, I don't have no problem dropping the link, but if you're gonna go up here and argue about who Bud fought at 140, I don't have time for the shit. I don't have time for it. I don't think you understand where I'm at right now with this conversation. My talking point is Errol Spence, Bud Crawford, Errol Spence calling out Canelo, Jermall Charlo now chasing Canelo, and he wants to fight at 168 pounds. Why did he wait so long? That is my collective talking points on the front end of my live, homie. That's my collective talking points. Yes. Why is Charlo all of a sudden want to run behind Canelo Alvarez at 168 when he had plenty of time to understand that Canelo wasn't going to come back down to 60 just because he said meet him at 60? Was it because you didn't want to take that risk? Goddamn, go up to 168 and fight David Benavidez. There's plenty of people you can face at 168. Plenty. It's plenty of people you can fight at 168. You can fight Caleb Plant. Take that fight. Go fight Sweet Hands. Errol Spence. Here's the primary topic. Why in the hell is Errol Spence worried about facing Canelo and trying to convince people he's fighting at 70%, like Milo said? He's fighting at 70 fucking percent. He's been fighting at 147 pounds. All of a sudden, at 30 years old, he's turning 31. What, right? Isn't he turning like 31 in January or something like that? Because he's younger than Crawford. So he's turning 31 years old in January. And all of a sudden, oh my God, people, the welterweight division is just so taxing. It's just so much on my body. Like, it drains me. I'm fighting 70%. You've been in the welterweight division over 70% in your career. So all of a sudden, you've been fighting at 70% because you lack discipline. You was ballooning up in weight, whether it's food, alcohol, or whatever that you was having. Now, all of a sudden, you're saying, I'm fighting 70%. I turned 31 in January. It's time for me to try to challenge myself. So why not move up to 154? I mean, because your stablemate Jermall Charlo is there. Why don't you move up to 154 and face somebody in the top 10 or the top 5? Face somebody at the top 10, top 5 at 154. While Canelo decides when he chooses to entertain Errol Spence. Now, Jermall Charlo has said, I'm looking at the buzz that Errol Spence is getting. Fuck it. I want some of that motherfucking buzz. His wife probably leaned over and said, hey, baby, man, hey, you need to go ahead and try to get this bag with Canelo. Errol Spence is trying to do something you haven't did yet. You know what I'm saying? He's trying to go for the cash cow. You need to go for the cash cow the right way. Let's go. He's like, yeah, you're right. You're right. Lines only. Lines only. God damn it. Fuck. Am I ready to do this shit? That's what, when you play reactive in this boxing game, sometimes motherfucker criticize you the worst. They won't even support you right off the rip. Because Charlo is in a higher division where Canelo is at. But yet Canelo became the franchise champion and he hasn't looked back. Canelo is saying, you know what? It's just like a motherfucking clearance, an empty warehouse down there. Canelo is just down there. He has a hanger or two up in there. It may be a three, secondary belts hanging around. But Canelo really don't think about the 160-pound division. He's like, whatever. I don't give a fuck. I come back down there whenever. How's everything looking down there? Okay, see. All right. He's campaigning at divisions that he can continue to add to his championship chest plate. Rocky Fielding, WBA regular. He went up there and defeated Sergey Kovalev for his strap that he ended up getting back from Alida Alvarez. Then he go back to Callum Smith, pick up the WBA super. Not only that, people, I didn't think it can fucking happen. I didn't think this shit can happen. I even said in my live months ago, right? I say Canelo being a little bit I don't know, he's coming off as being this guy that feels he can get anything. When he wanted to try to sell the Abney Yildirim fight, right? Let me fight Abney Yildirim for the vacant WBC title. So I'm like saying, Canelo, man, he's just fucking off the people. Like he's just going out here making decisions on his own that only makes sense to him, and he don't care what nobody else think. He want to invite Abney Yildirim to the party. DAZN said fucking no. All right, cool. So somehow, some way, he do boss shit. The same thing I say that my brother should do. He doing boss shit. He was able to get the WBC title included in the fight with Callum Smith. If that ain't some boss shit, Canelo Alvarez was able to once again, it wasn't hard for Mauricio. Yeah, see, Canelo, my Mexican lord, of course we can get you the WBC title. Y'all don't see what's going on with Mauricio? Come on, man. Him including the franchise belt with Teofimo Lopez and everything. I was surprised Mauricio Suleiman didn't tell Devin Haney and say, hey, Devin, your belt going to be on the line with Vasil Lomachenko and Teofimo Lopez. Your belt going to be on the line too. And Devin like, no, man, no. How can you do that? We're gonna move you back down the interim because either way you didn't fight nobody for it, and we're gonna put your title on the line with Vasil Lomachenko and Teofimo Lopez. So Canelo Alvarez was able, y'all, to get the WBC title included in his title match with Callum Smith. How much of a boss move is that shit? That's boss move right there. And that's what I'm saying about Errol Spence. Jermall Charlo. He's making these boss moves as he makes adjustments. He's making these moves accordingly. You all are reacting to what Canelo is doing. You had plenty of time in your career to make these moves. You could have moved up to 154 pounds, but no, my people. No, my boy up there. My boy. Jermall Charlo. Well, goddamn, go find another gym so you can move up to 154 pounds. You're talking about legacy Errol Spence, but yet my brothers, they sitting up here saying, my boy. So you got two of your boys that's in Texas, right? One is at 154-pound division, the other at 160. So basically what I'm thinking of, that's going to influence your decision-making process of you trying to be great in boxing. You really don't want to go up there and fuck with the 154-pound division because Jermall Charlo is there. You really don't want to take the challenge and risk to move up to the 160-pound division because Jermall Charlo is there. So now you're stuck. You're stuck in the welterweight division. And things are finally settling down for you all to make those moves. Hear me what I'm telling you. Jermall Charlo is on the cusp of unifying the 154-pound division. So therefore, the shifts are happening in Texas. We trying to see Jermall Charlo move up to 68. We trying to see Jermall Charlo move up to damn 60, and then Errol Spence move up to 54. But them motherfuckers all in a line, in a squad, cannot make adjustments until the other. Which in my thought process, I say that is absolutely stupid. You are not getting any younger. Father Time waits for no one. You're in the sport of boxing where actually, if you're 31 years old, let's add about a good 5 years onto that. That's boxing years of all the shit you put your body through. Plus Errol Spence coming off an accident. If you believe that he's fighting 70%, just because he's telling you he's weight drained, he probably fighting at 65% internally from that accident. Take it for somebody who had it, who used to run bikes, who freaking had accident on pavement. That's with a helmet on. Errol Spence said he hit the concrete slab and knocked out his teeth. You trying to tell me you knocked out some teeth? It don't have anything to do with bone structure? It doesn't have anything to do with muscles? Oh, absolutely it does. I was in an accident, flipped several times in the air and landed on the motherfucking ground in front of my family. You trying to tell me all he got was scabs? No, I'm telling you all, that's not the case. Everything boxing sports say 60-40 is more than fair. Okay, we must be talking about Crawford Spence. All right. Numbers don't lie. If Crawford is such a dog and feel he can beat EJ, so easy, take the 60-40 and prove it. Then he take over, and now he the A-side. Simple as that. That is not an argument. Hey, check this out, Keon. That isn't an argument with me. You know why? Because what you say makes sense. That makes sense, 60-40. But that 70-30 bullshit, that doesn't make sense to me. That doesn't make sense, man. Because it's been 60-40 for a while. So when I'm looking at this, I got to play both sides. Because that's what media do, right? 60-40, when Terence Crawford heard that, he said, you know what? If the 60-40 ain't for me, if it ain't in my favor, I don't know what to tell him. Because 60-40 should be in my favor. That's what Errol Spence said after all the bullshit started surfacing. And he felt like he was being disrespected. He said, 60-40 should benefit me, not Errol Spence. Then for Errol Spence, he said, okay, 60-40. All right, if it's 60-40, leave it at 60-40. Don't say 70-30 or whatever we want to give him. Now that shit becomes like you playing games, you being extremely motherfucking petty, you being a prima donna when you haven't did enough to be a prima donna. Like I said earlier, Terence Crawford's career far exceeds Errol Spence in accomplishments. Fuck the resume. We're talking about 3-division champion. 3-division with an undisputed to that damn metric. 3-division champion with an undisputed included in his boxing accomplishments. It's official. I don't know how many times I got to say it. Now, to caveat to what everything boxing and sports say, I agree. A big part of my competitiveness saying, you know what? I'm a 3-division champion for an undisputed. Let me take this 60-40. It's not like he's trying to tell me to take 90-10, a 95-5. You know, it's not like he's trying to tell me that. He said, okay, 60-40. If you're confident in defeating Errol Spence, I don't have a problem with Crawford saying, okay, let me go ahead and get this motherfucking belt, these belts. Let me fight Errol Spence and pick up these straps. Hands down, period. Let me prove that I'm the better. And then if Errol Spence, which I doubt, because this is why I doubt, if Errol Spence is whining and saying all of a sudden he is draining himself for 147, are you going to stay around for a rematch with Crawford? Are you going to try to pull off Vasil Lomachenko and sign the motherfucker with no rematch clause? What you going to do, Errol Spence? Like, what the fuck you going to do, dog? Are you gonna say, okay, I'm going in, I'm gonna let my nuts hang, and I'm gonna go ahead and motherfucking fight Crawford with no rematch clause? Or you're gonna go opposite of what you've been telling the people, and you're gonna put a rematch clause in there. You motherfucking lose, you got a rematch that you have to make 147 pounds again. Or we're gonna see some other type of bullshit. I would just say, hey, yeah, Terence Crawford. Take that motherfucking 60-40. Go in there and get the dub. And if it's a rematch in there, go in for the rematch. That's 2 big paydays. What it does for Terence Crawford, he has Errol Spence on his resume right now with a victory. You know what I'm saying? And he gets to go back into a rematch with Errol Spence for another good payday, and to potentially has Errol Spence on his resume 2 times taking an L. How good is that? That sounds good, don't it? I mean, come on, man. That shit sounds good to me. But I like that, though. 60-40 is more than a fair. IB said everything boxing sports. I agree. Spence sold over 900K PPVs. Bud barely sold 200K. It don't add up. 60-40 is more than fair. Listen, y'all. Listen. I know people want to grab, okay, you know, sit up here and grab numbers from the media when it comes to this PPV numbers and all this shit. But understand one thing. Forget what Bob Arum has said. Forget what the numbers are saying. I know people like to look at these bloviated numbers that's out here to boost up a certain fighter and make it seem like they're a PPV star. Same thing with Tank Davis. They coming out here saying Tank did 2.5 when the numbers came out much lower than that. It sounds good, but to the other people who do research past that, it's much lower, right? So him doing PPV numbers, who cares? Who cares what PPV numbers? When it comes to Terence Crawford being a 3-division champion, are we not considering Canelo Alvarez whenever he steps up and challenges somebody? Are they not including what he's done previously? Yes. That is part of the collective bargaining. That is part of everything. I'm going to tell you why. Because when a fighter steps up to another fighter, what is the first narrative they say? When a fighter steps to and challenges another fighter that doesn't have a division to his name or a motherfucking championship, they say, what has he done, right? Just like Devin Haney said to Michael Williams Jr., what has he done? Right? That's the automatic default. What has he done? So in that perspective, we're trying to basically jettison the fact that Crawford is a 3-division champion and he's been there. He has 5 wins. He has 5 wins, 4 defenses. And that doesn't play into the negotiation process because Errol Spence has 1 more belt than Crawford in a single division. That's a lot of ones. He has 1 more belt than Crawford in a single division. How is 60-40 even a huge discussion? You know why it's huge? because a lot of people are looking at Spence and not really holding him to the motherfucking fire to say, you chose to campaign in the welterweight division forever. You chose this shit. Crawford's did more than you. But since Spence is a household name to certain people in the welterweight division, they're trying to ignore the fact that three-division champion has something to do with negotiation and leverage when it comes to this fight. It has some percentage, y'all. It does. You have to include a fighter, what he's done previously, or else shut the fuck up about other fighters that hasn't did anything. When a fighter step up and challenge somebody, the first thing, who is that? Who they fought? They have a belt? Okay, they don't have a belt. Yeah. Okay. So all of a sudden, when it comes to Terence Crawford, it's like, we already know what he did at 140. He didn't fight nobody. They didn't do anything. You cannot do that shit because now you sounding like a temporary. You have to include the fact that Terence Crawford is indeed a three-division or three-weight champion. You have to understand that Errol Spence is a single-weight champion, two-time world champion. Crawford has him beat in the amount of titles that he's earned and the amount of divisions that he's earned those titles in. Right or wrong, people. If Terence Crawford has more accolades, why are smart, intelligent boxing fans overlooking the fact that it has contribution to the negotiation process when it comes to Errol Spence and Terence Crawford? It has a lot to do with it, y'all. It has a lot for them to step to the table and say, what has Terence Crawford done in his career? What is Errol Spence? Errol Spence trying to say, oh, I'm the big dog. The way I look at certain things when people identify you as being that real one, or they give you that praise, they exalt you, right? They give you all the adulations. When people do it freely, that means they totally understand who they're watching and who they're supporting. They give you. But Errol Spence keeps saying, I'm the big dog at 147. I'm the big dog at 147. You're trying to convince people because you're behind Crawford on the pound for pound list. Why, man? You're behind Crawford on the pound for pound list. The fact that we have boxing fans out here trying to slice this motherfucking cold ass pie. That motherfucker cold as shit. It might be a goddamn peach cobbler apple. It doesn't make a difference. You have people out here trying to goddamn cut that shit with a butter knife. You know, Errol Spence, he's the best welterweight. Who gives a damn? He's going in there with the top pound for pound guy in front of him. So I'm trying to help you understand, people, that if he's going in there with one of the top pound for pound guys, just like Teofimo did. Teofimo defeated Vasil Lomachenko. It moved him into the top pound for pound list. Errol Spence is already in the top pound for pound, but Terence Crawford is in front of him. So therefore, you should understand that the leverage that Terence Crawford has going to the table in the welterweight division should consider that he's ahead of Errol Spence on the top pound for pound list. Isn't that what they do with Canelo Alvarez? Isn't that what the narrative is? You got people coming up here saying, you know, Canelo, he's top pound for pound. His opponents is the B side. No one's going to be the A side against Canelo. No one, because he's top pound for pound, right? So why isn't that the case for Terence Crawford? Why every time it comes for him for the negotiation with Errol Spence is a top welterweight, Sheldon. Errol Spence is a top welterweight. Who is the top pound for pound? What supersedes the other? Does pound for pound supersedes a single division? Absolutely, because we're talking about pound for pound in the entire sport. An entire sport. Why are we convoluting it just because we don't like Terence Crawford? Good point there, IB. We put that comment up there. Everything Boxing Sports says. Okay, let me shit. Shout out to D Style, man. Al Tariq in the building. Salute to y'all, man. Everything Boxing and Sports said, he's been talking about Canelo for years, Scotty. This ain't nothing new. He just started talking. He's been said he been only fighting at 70% years ago. I got an interview with him talking about it. True. My point is, why all of a sudden, if you are telling the people, this is what I'm talking about, a lot of stuff I leave out because it's not a part of what I'm talking about. You're absolutely right. He's been talking about this. I don't care what he's been talking about previously. What I'm talking about is he told us his whole entire objective is to unify the welterweight division. He went on Boxing Scene talking about, I'm on the verge of cleaning out the division. So if you just came back from a car accident and you fought Mikey Garcia, why didn't I hear that you was on your way back to fight somebody at 154? If you calling out Canelo, who used to campaign at 160, and he's been up here at 168, 175, why all of a sudden you come back and fight at 147 if you being drained? His main priority was what? I want to become undisputed at welterweight division. Is he any closer with becoming undisputed by facing Danny Garcia? The answer is no. The answer is motherfucking no. So I don't care if he's calling out Canelo Alvarez right now because he is talking to us there, Keon. He's talking to us, the boxing fans. He's saying what? I want to clean out the welterweight division. I'm on the verge. What does verge mean? I'm on the verge. What does verge mean? What does verge mean? How can you be on the verge and you're 100 miles out? I'm on the verge of pulling up. Where you at? 100 miles out. On the verge mean, I'll be there in 5 minutes. I'm on the verge of pulling up. I'm on the verge of unifying the welterweight division. Okay, he got 3 belts. Okay, that means he in negotiation to face Crawford. He's on the verge. Excuse me. That's what on the verge means to me. If I'm talking about something a year ago, a year and a half ago, whatever, why am I still doing the same thing? If what I'm talking about places me outside of where I'm currently at. If what I'm speaking on, that all of a sudden I'm fighting at 70%. We all know that Errol Spence mentioned that he was ballooning up to 187 plus, whatever. Why? His lack of discipline, right? Okay, that's his fault. He takes the entire culpability on that, right? He's talking about shit over a year ago, and he's still in the same place. Are we running on treadmills? This cat running on treadmills? What are we trying to do? What do we respect more as people in general? The ones that's all about leadership. What do we respect more in life? Progress, right? We expect progress. We respect and expect progress. How do we make progress? By making decisions that allow us to properly move forward. To gain momentum in a different direction. That direction can be anywhere, but as long as it's progressing forward, we're advancing to something positive. That positivity comes off the decision that we're trying to meet. His decision is to unify the welterweight division. But yet he's talking about competing at 70%. He's talking about, let me fight Canelo Alvarez. You're doing it at the wrong time because you hold the WBC and the IBF title, but yet Manny Pacquiao and Terence Crawford is still out there. So are you going to hold true at 31 years old in January? You're getting old. Are you going to hold true and give us what we want first? Or are you going to chase behind Canelo Alvarez, who's all the way up 3 divisions? Are you going to wait? No, you're not going to wait because you got to eat. And you know, if you don't face a top tier name, you can't go up here and keep on telling people to go to the AT&T Stadium so we can goddamn sell it out in 21 and we can increase the live gate and we can do it big once again so people can come in here and talk about my PPV numbers. Nobody cares about your PPV numbers, Errol Spence, until you complete what you said you was going to do. You made it. You made the declaration. So go out here and clean out the welterweight division if you can. And then let's make it happen. What's going on, Jackal? Jackal. I'll wait till he come back. Let me see. Al Tariq said, what's up, World Combat Sports? What's good with you, Al Tariq? Team Williams in the building. Michael said, Money Man really think that Spence has the right to dictate turns to Bud. Laughing my ass off, quaking like a duck. For real. Tone in the building. What's good, man? Transcendent Sports say this is young man's game. Father Time is undefeated. Always will be. Let me shoot my boy. Let me see something. I agree with Transcendent Sports. Father Time waits for nobody. It's especially when you've been in full contact sport and you basically been putting miles on your body. It isn't gonna wait on you any different. Maybe it'll wait on somebody that's a freaking model. You know what I'm saying? You know, putting on makeup all the time and shit like that. Someone that's in a non-physical sport, absolutely. Father Time can wait on you just a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Okay, got you. And I think I just dropped it. D-Style in the building. What's going on with you? He said, what you make is what you generate, what you can negotiate, plus what leverage you can use. Those three things dictate the money. Generate, negotiate, leverage. I partially agree, D-Style. That only pertains to certain individuals because of who we done seen fight these individuals. You know what I'm saying? I understand totally what you're saying, those three points. What you generate, but not everybody's a PPV star. Teofimo Lopez and Vasil Lomachenko, how many PPVs have they did? But what? They was able to get on free TV over 4 million views, right? Are they PPV? No. Did they get an astounding amount of viewership? Absolutely. So what you generate, does it pertains to PPV or are we talking about just viewership, period? You there, bro?
Oh, man.
Hey, you there, Jackal? Hey, Jackal. He's working on his what you make is what generate plus what you negotiate. Okay, I read that. See, Money Man, 60-40 is based off popularity in PPV. We know boxing. Look, in order for you to have high PPV numbers, you have to be what? Somewhat popular, right? Or you have to have a dance partner that's there to move with you. When I say move, that means they have to move their side of the crowd. You have to move your side of the motherfucking crowd. Together, collectively, you all generate. There's no one person generating a PPV. Let's understand that. They have to be in there with somebody that's going to generate the other side. that's going to move their side of the boxing audience, and Errol moves his side of the boxing audience. So don't act like Errol Spence is this huge PPV king. He isn't. Because if he put Carlos Ocampo in there. Hello? What now? Hey, Jack, can you hear me? Jack, you there? Hey, I'm gonna keep cooking. Transcendent said 3 weight classes versus 1 weight class. That should speak volumes of their career. If people don't understand that concept, then they're not being truthful. Man, I need to post that shit. First, that was D-style boxing. Generate, negotiate, leverage. He isn't wrong. He isn't wrong because for some people, generate, negotiate, leverage plays an important factor. But you also have to understand Canelo Alvarez and what he's been able to generate in the moves he's been making. Is his opponents been these spectacular opponents? We're talking about Rocky Fielding, Daniel Jacobs, Sergey Kovalev, who is older. That's partially because in this particular case, Errol Spence all of a sudden jumping on PPV. What is his numbers? Did he beat Holyfield and Tyson? Is he in the top 5 of PPVs? Why are we just taking all these points of competition? I mean, not competition, all these points of performances, right? Why are we taking these for certain fighters? We're taking certain fighters. Oh, look what they did. They did over 200,000 views, people. Oh, look at so-and-so. He did over 100,000 views. It don't freaking matter. They didn't do it by themselves. You know when it matters? You know when it matters? Is if when they're up there with somebody else that's an equal dance partner and they come in here and get close to breaching the bottom 5 of Evander Holyfield and Tyson. When they get close to doing what Conor McGregor did in Floyd Mayweather. Hey, Money Man, you there?
Yeah, what's good, bro?
I'm good. Hold on for a second, bro. Let me post this back up here with Transcendent Sports. Money Man in the building. Marty Martinez, what's good, man? Steven, what's good? Spence is definitely not a PPV king. That's all I'm saying, man. Let's talk money. What's good? Welcome to the channel. First and foremost, man. Money Man wanted to come out the live chat and speak his truth. What's cooking? Money Man, you there?
I just don't.
I can't hear you, man.
Got no problem with the view.
Yeah, I can't hear you, Money Man. Money, I can't hear you, man.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Let me bring you back in, man. Yeah, you going in and out, bro.
My fault. I don't know. It might be.
Let me turn on my volume a little bit. Go ahead and talk, man.
Yeah, I just
I can't even hear you. He can come back in, man. SB90 in the building. What's good? Overall, do you think 2020 was a good year for boxing? Hell no. Anybody who think 2020 was a good year for boxing, I don't know what they looking. I mean, the pandemic pretty much destroyed that. It destroyed that. Real talk. Stephen Wood, what's good with you? I agree with what he said. Let me put it on the screen. Because Texans, they love to boost up Errol Spence like he's doing big numbers or something. Like he's this new PPV king. He ain't a PPV king, y'all. Who has he faced that did these incredible numbers? He ain't a PPV. He in the pay-per-view king, y'all. Believe that. You there, Major Key?
Yeah, I'm here, brother. What's going on? I think you're mute, though. You sound mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Hold on for a second. Hey, salute the Major Key for stepping in the building, man. I got to get these other comments off. Joe Jack, should Spence and Heyman ignore Aaron's comments about Bud and give Aaron and Bud 50-50? Why is it all of a sudden, when it's all about Errol Spence over here, but then when it comes to Terence Crawford, y'all want to say, okay, let me include Bob Arum's comments. So how are we supposed to communicate with Al Heyman? Do we know what Al Heyman's saying? Oh, my fault. Once again, when Errol Spence talk, people say that those are words of Al Heyman, but we really don't know that is genuine or not. But when it comes to Terence Crawford, his promoter, Bob Arum, is speaking, and yeah, he said some negative stuff, but why is it all of a sudden is we want to pay close attention to what the words Bob Arum is talking about when it comes down to Terence Crawford? Why is that so important? So y'all sit up here and listen to everything Errol Spence say and hear nothing from Al Heyman, but yet you want to listen to what Bob Arum is saying instead of what Terence Crawford is saying, who's been calling out Errol Spence for the longest of time. He's been calling him out for the longest of time, y'all. Hey, talk to me there, Major Key. What's good, bro?
No, I got to agree with you with that, man. Like, look, man, we all know Heyman is a ghost, man. We don't even know if he exists.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? You know, unless you're behind the scenes, you don't even know if Al Heyman exists. You know, so and that's the whole thing. The whole thing is that everybody takes everything. We all gonna try to like take everything into perspective. What the manager said, what the boxer said, what the promoter said, what the trainer said. You know what I'm saying? But with Al Heyman, we don't get any of that. So it's difficult to assess it when it comes to Al Heyman. You know, and so we have to take everything in. It's like another video that I watched earlier today. And they were talking about, they were trying to debunk Charlo saying that he never got sent the contract because when somebody else said that they would send him a contract, he said, oh, that's up to my manager, send it to him. You know what I mean? Like talk to Al Heyman. Don't talk to me. I'm not a manager, I'm a fighter. You know what I'm saying? So if you're saying all of that, right?
I'm still here, man. Keep cooking.
Yeah, so I'm saying, so if you're saying talk to my manager, talk to my promoter, you know, send him a contract, you know, this and this and that, then how are you going to say that Canelo never sent you a contract? You know what I mean? Maybe your manager's not wanting you to fight that dude. Maybe he trying to, you know, build some money off of you fighting some, you know, I'm not going to call them bums, but, you know, some lesser opposition. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. And I think that at this point, everybody should be seeing it for what it is. Al Heyman is supposed to be an advisor. Great advisor. Don't get me wrong. He got some great people in the stablemate, even though he took a lot of them off of Golden Boy. But he still did what he had to do. You know, it's a grimy sport, so he did what he had to do to build his own establishment. But at the end of the day, again, you can't have somebody, saying that, oh, this person's ducking me. You're not even in their weight class. But then somebody in your weight class is calling you out, and you say, oh, well, send it to my manager. Send it to my promoter. You know what I mean? That's what I got to say, man. Because I like all these fighters. They're all fighters. They're all fighters. They're good in their own rights and respects in their own levels. But, you know, don't start, like, trying to demean an elite fighter, trying to shame him, bash him, just to get him to fight you when you haven't done enough work. Are you able to bring people to the table when it comes to a Canelo Alvarez, Jermall Charlo? When Canelo Alvarez demands at least $20 million a fight, do you have that respect? Do you have that clout to bring $20 million worth of a fight? That's what I'm saying. So,
yeah, I read that when Charlo was saying, hey, and then all that shit people talking about that I ducked Canelo, they never sent the contract. And I understand where you're coming from with that. I mean, Charlo's going to try his best to say whatever he chooses to say. You know what? He should come out and say some shit like that. I want to ask you, the boxing fans, When we start talking about PPV and all this other bullshit, how many PPV stars in your imaginary state when it comes to boxing are on the top pound for pound? Is the top 3 boxers on the top pound for pound PPV stars? Let's start there, because the last time I checked, Canelo Alvarez was on the zone at one point in time. Now he's not. Point. But did PPV run Canelo Alvarez at the zone, their Major Key? Did it?
No. He had the thing.
Right. Hold up. You're right. He didn't, right? Did it run Naoya Inoue? Is he a PPV star?
Yeah, I know.
So is Terence Bud Crawford, who's right behind Inoue, is he a PPV star? No, right? So you have 3 top pound for pound boxers, 3 who are not PPV stars. So why is Errol Spence PPV numbers coming up against damn Terence Crawford, who is above him on the top pound for pound list?
Yeah, man, I can't answer that for you, bro. You need to talk to them people, because I'm just as confused as you. I'm just as confused as you when it comes to that.
That's what I'm saying. Why is it such a big talking point, as if you're leveraging a narrative to prove a point? You're basically saying that, oh, look at the numbers that Errol Spence did. Nobody cares, because those numbers are bleeding over to what other people have done. It truly doesn't matter, people, unless he breaks the top 5 of top PPV fights ever in the sport. It doesn't really matter. Let's not make it a big deal because it's Terence Crawford. Let's not talk about the ghost, Al Heyman, vice Bob Arum. Al Heyman is an advisor and Bob Arum is a promoter. When have we heard Al Heyman say anything? But yet we've heard Bob Arum. What's going on, IB? Sorry? King Mitch said boxing doesn't have a PPV king right now. 50-plus-year-old Mike Tyson is the current PPV king.
Thanks, man. Thanks.
So King Mitch said boxing doesn't have a PPV king. You know what I'm saying?
You know why, man? You know why? I'm gonna be honest with you, Scotty. Look, right now, in this time right now, Top Rank did the smartest thing. They started giving free fights. At the beginning of when everybody started relaxing, the tensions of COVID in June, he was the first person. He threw 3 cards every week. 3 cards every week. So he may be a dinosaur. We may not like the fact that he's a reptile, he's a snake. You know what I'm saying? We already see it. You know what I mean? But the man actually put forth some fucking fights. You know what I'm saying? Then you had you had the zone that struggled at the beginning. They couldn't put shit together for nothing. PBC came right after, but then immediately, as soon as they seen a little bit of success, wanted to start throwing together pay-per-views, and people weren't ready for that. You know what I'm saying? That's why you got low pay-per-view numbers, because people weren't ready for that. We you know what I'm saying? Like we still waiting for another stimulus package, and you throwing together you throwing together $75 pay-per-views. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man. So I from the business aspect, I could see that that the PBC was a little. They were a little hungry. Let me get this. You know what I mean? They were testing the waters. Al Heyman, I can't blame him for testing the waters, but I think his strategy just gave more evidence. They gave more proof that it wasn't working right. You know what I'm saying? Top Rank was doing it right. The Zone is trying to modify their strategy now. You see how they said, we'll give you pay for this pay-per-view, and we'll go ahead and give you 4 months free, a voucher for 4 months free. You know what I'm saying? So everybody's modifying their strategy, and it's all business. But at the end of the day, man, let's be honest, man. Let's be honest, bro. Like, we can't really talk about pay-per-view during COVID. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody sucks right now. Nobody really wants to pay for it. I went to the bar to watch Spence versus Garcia. With my peoples. I dropped a video for that. And that's what's going to be from now on, unless it's on the Zone, because I paid the Zone until July of next year. So I'm going to watch the Zone. I'm going to watch ESPN. But if it's a pay-per-view, it better be worth my while. I'll pay for it if it's worth my while. But if it's not worth my while, I'm not paying for it. And I'm a boxing supporter.
I totally agree. I totally agree with you there, Major Key. I mean, solid points made, man, on PPV. Why is everybody flocking to Texas? Because it's an open door for boxing to thrive and be able to have a partial live gate. Hold on, let me see what's popping with IB. IB, you there, man?
Yes, sir. My fault. I think my background was a little loud.
Yeah, I had to
First
put it
time.
back because it was loud. But
Yeah,
hey,
my fault.
hey, everybody, welcome IB man to the panel. What's good with you? Hey, let me first get to this comment. Ron Thomas said, and that's the knock on Bud. His dance partners on helping him fight top competition. His dance partners isn't help him fight competition. His dance partners aren't helping him fight top competition. Well, Errol Spence dance partners isn't helping him either because he isn't breaking the top 5 in PPV to him to be considered a top pound for pound star. And if he did have those dance partners that's facing him across the ring, guess what? He would be ahead of Terence Crawford, who you just said don't have the dance partners to help him be a PPV. So what really matters? Does the pound for pound list matter when it comes to PPV or what you've accomplished in your career? Because the last time I checked, the top 3 PPV, the top 3 pound for pound or multi-division champions. Last time I checked, the top 3. Last time I checked. And then you got Oleksandr Usyk. You know, he unified, and then you got Errol Spence playing catch up. So therefore, does this really matter? Does the PPV numbers really matter when it comes to top pound for pound? Because it matters when Canelo Alvarez steps in the ring. People say, oh, he's top pound for pound. He's the A side. He's top pound for pound. But when it comes to Terence Crawford, oh, he ain't done shit at welterweight. Errol Spence walking around telling people he's a motherfucking welterweight king. Do you ever hear Canelo saying, oh, I'm the 160-pound king? Oh, I'm this, I'm that. No, Canelo just moves as he see fit, and he picks up his shit. He keeps it moving. Every time he drops in for a fight, a big fight, he picks up a belt and keep it moving. Go ahead, cook, IB.
Yeah, and salute to you, bro. Because I didn't get to say that earlier. Salute to you, IB.
Yeah, salute to you, my brother. Salute World Combat Sports always. Salute the chat for sure, for sure. Yeah, I love all great fighters, man. I don't specifically put no fighter above another when it comes to personal things like this, because all that matters is what you done in the ring and what you accomplished in the sport of boxing. So we know Bud Crawford has accomplished more, and by definition, pound for pound is accomplishing one thing at 1 pound, going up to the next pound, being a champion at that pound and moving up. So by definition, I would give pound for pound either Terence Crawford or Canelo. Errol Spence only has been champion in one division. So I really have put him on the back burner when it comes to pound for pound. And I definitely have put him behind Terence Crawford and Canelo. We know what he's done, but we just got to look at it for what it is. These guys have been champions in multiple divisions. That's the definition of pound for pound. You can look up the definition. It is what it is. When it comes to, these buys and things like that, 60-40 for Spence is cool. That's a good, because we're talking about 147 right now. We can't really talk about no other weight division. Spence, and we're not talking about no other weight division but 147. So 60-40 in Errol Spence's favor is only because he owns 2 belts and he's a proven seller, whether it's pay-per-view or whether it's at the gate. I know Bud's, last fight, they didn't have no fans. That's cool. But he's proven that he sells better than Bud. So we got to look at that as well. Along with he's bringing more to the table, meaning he's bringing more belts to the table. So that right there is more risk and more belts you're risking taking this fight. So if anybody was to be the A side, I would have to lean more towards Spence than towards Bud. But Bud is the more accomplished fighter overall. That's hands down. He's definitely more accomplished. 3-division world champion, undisputed at 140. You can't take that away from him at all. Both great fighters, a fight we need to see as boxing fans. But at 147, for this fight to be made, I feel like Bud should just go ahead and take that 60-40, and he'd make the most money he ever made in any fight. So it'd be beneficial to both fighters, and most definitely beneficial to a Bud Crawford. And if he's so confident, he'd be a unified world champion with the WBC the WBO and the IBF belt at 147 and one fight away from becoming undisputed. I just want to see it happen.
And let me ask you this, IB. If Canelo moved down to 47, will he be the A or B side?
He'll most definitely be the
face
A.
Errol Spence. If he faced Errol Spence at 147, will Canelo at this current state, will he be the A side?
From what I heard, I feel like that Errol Spence said he'll fight Canelo at 160. So for Canelo to move down to 147, I still give Canelo the B side. Only because
you know that ain't happening, right?
Maneuvering. He's doing all this maneuvering, you know, from 175 back down to 168. And, you know, he definitely accomplished a lot and he's fought a lot of great fighters, but we just got to look at it for what it is. Currently, like you said, what has Canelo done at 147 to be the A side? I don't want to put the question around on you, but.
No, we having a general discussion. So let me ask everybody, you know, you can answer. So what means more? Pound for pound list or division?
The division, to me, the pound for pound list can be all speculation, you know, but we just got to look at it for what it is. You know, it's being champions in multiple divisions. So that's what Canelo has accomplished along with Terence Crawford. Errol Spence on the other division.
You saying it's division. I get it. I mean, what my question is if you're going to say that Errol Spence, you know, he'll be the A side in this particular narrative or whatever, he's a single division champion. When Triple G fought Canelo Alvarez the first time, who's the A side?
Canelo.
So how many divisions did Canelo have at that time? How many divisions did he have in his resume when he fought Triple G at that time? He had less belts, right?
Yeah, he did.
That's all I'm saying, IB. You know what I'm saying? Like, look, Canelo walked in there with Triple G, and he was the A side. So, why people not understanding it's only for certain people?
Yeah, that's true. And like you mentioned earlier, it's a lot of champions that are not pay-per-view stars or quote unquote, you know, big sellers and got pay-per-view fights. That's true. Everybody doesn't have that. You know what I mean? Everybody don't have that gift to become you got to build certain fighters to become a pay-per-view star. Like Tank on the other hand, you know what I mean? He only owns the regular at 135, but he's a champion at 130, but he's still a pay-per-view star and he sells out shows. Like he can sell. He's more marketable. He's going to bring money to the table. So when we're talking money, that 60-40 split, it all has to do with money. We want to see two talented fighters get in there and fight, but they are not coming to agreement because of a split when it all comes down to money.
Let me ask you a question. I'm not even trying to debate because I don't know what your answer is. I've never spoken to you before, but
go ahead, brother. It's all you know.
If Ryan Garcia fights Devin Haney, who's the A side?
Devin Haney, he's a champion, and he's got a big fan base. Ryan Garcia has a big fan base, social media and in the box.
Hold up. But with your own logic, you just said he's more popular.
Yeah, he's popular on social media, but Devin Haney's popular on social media too, and he's a champion.
So
that right there making the A side.
Who buys the fights, the pugilists or the socials?
Both.
I'm just saying. You get where I'm going. That's why you.
I definitely get where you're going. I'm not putting it on popularity at all because Ryan Garcia is popular and Devin Haney is popular. But if we add that belt into it, Ryan Garcia don't have a belt. So would you feel comfortable saying that Ryan Garcia would be the A side?
No, I think it should be a 50-50 fight.
That is a 50-50 fight. That is a 50-50 fight. Yeah, that's definitely a 50-50 fight. But if I had to lean toward, that's definitely a 50-50 fight right there.
Yeah, exactly.
But if I had to lean towards who would be the A side.
I asked you a raw question and you committed to one side. I was just asking the question. I would give it to
Devin Haney, my brother. I would give it to Devin Haney being the A side.
Well, I mean, you know, for me, look, I love Devin Haney too. I feel like he's going to be a great champion, but I feel like both of them right now need a little bit more to say. Like they need to prove a little bit more because right now it is a popularity contest because this dude got an email champion. You know what I'm saying? He got a belt through email at 2 times. You know what I'm saying? Like he lost it because of the shoulder, and then he asked for it again, and then they struggled to give it to him, and they gave it to him again. He still hasn't even Gamboa. Who's Gamboa right now? Nobody.
But let me ask y'all this though, Major Key. Solid point. Let me ask you this once again to everyone. If we're including all this popularity, all the variables, popularity, freaking PPV, straps, multi-divisions, which one really is the top of the priority list? Because once again, I said Canelo Triple G. Triple G had the belts and he was not the A side. So why is people pushing Terence Crawford head and heel with a belt to Errol Spence as if he don't have any type of leverage because it's strictly welterweight? Because they fought at middleweight. And Canelo wasn't the PPV star. He was A side. So why is it all good for Saul Canelo Alvarez, but it's not all good for Terence Crawford to have leverage going in here as a multi-division champion against Errol Spence Jr.? Why is it not being talked about? Is it because, just explain to me, why isn't that the case?
I feel like because Errol Spence, he beat the Kell Brook, and then he also unified to gain another belt against the Sean Porter. Terence Crawford hasn't had no unifications. This would be his first unification fight at 147. We got to give Errol Spence that one up. Terence Crawford
wasn't Triple G unified? Was Triple G unified when Canelo faced him?
Yes, yeah. But Canelo, he does what he wants in the sport of boxing. That's when it comes to the politics.
No, you can't say he does what he wants because Terence Crawford trying to do what he wants, bro.
Hey, listen, Canelo Alvarez is moving all these weight divisions and fighting these champions because he can do that. I don't know why. I don't know why. That's out of my hands. But he's doing it.
This was before all that, IB. This was before he started moving as he is. This was before all that. What Canelo did to Triple G in the first fight was before all that.
You're right. It was.
So why doesn't Terence Crawford get the same pass? He's a multi-division champion. He has a belt at the current weight. Why is it such a disparity when it comes to Errol Spence, recognizing him just like they recognize Canelo Alvarez going in there against Triple G? How is Canelo Alvarez the A side of here and PPV king since they want to talk about PPV numbers? Why? Exactly. That's all I want to know, IB. Like, how is it good for Canelo Alvarez, but it's not good for Crawford?
Yeah. I'm not disputing that. I understand everything you're saying. Canelo, maybe he's just more of a household name than Terence. I don't know. But I know both of these guys are accomplished. Both of these guys are accomplished. And with some fighters, man, they get that pass. And Canelo's been getting this pass with from testing and lowering levels. He's been getting passes after passes and doing what he wants in the sport of boxing. But with somebody like Bud, he's showing that he's skilled. He's knocking these fighters out. He's multiple division champions, and he don't get his just due. I can't tell you why. It just is what it is.
And so I want to see this nowadays we got that saying, keep the same energy. But that's a translation of the old adage, which is what's good for the goose is good for the gander. You know what I'm saying? And so we're going to keep it real with one thing. We got to keep it real with the other thing, right? And so I feel where World Combat is coming from. You know what I'm saying? But I see where we stumbling on this conversation because it seems a little more difficult than it actually is. But when it comes down to it, man, I just did a live last night, and I was waiting for you, World Combat. By the way, I was hoping you would pop up. But you know what I'm saying? 2 hour great stream. You know what I'm saying? Everybody talking about Canelo Alvarez and why he's getting hate, and we chopped it up about different weight divisions. Like, no, depending on the person that you talk to, they're gonna tell you that he's ducking, either what's his name, Charlo. They're gonna tell you he's ducking, Errol Spence. They're gonna tell you he's ducking Bivol, Better BF. They're gonna tell you he's ducking this person, that person.
Andre, Boo Andre.
He said he wants to unify at 168. Damn, after all the fights, man, this dude's already on like 58 fights. Let the man accomplish what he wants to accomplish for his own legacy. He's still only 30 years old. He just fought a man 30 years old. And everybody was talking about it was a cherry pick. Not a cherry pick if it's the number one dude, arguably, at 168. You know what I mean?
Real talk. Let me get to Joe Jack. I just don't see. Let me see. So Aaron comments about his own fighter means nothing when negotiating a fight. It's a 50-50, no negotiation needed. I feel, when it comes to them, it's a 50-50. But when it comes to, if you're going to just say single division, Errol Spence did something in a single division. But once again, this whole negotiation process has to do with many variables. You just can't take one variable because you like the fighter. I try to dichotomize it and then speak from both sides. You just can't say, man, I like Errol Spence and this is the way it should go down. Bob Arum can say what he says. If every promoter says some fucked up shit about their fighter and it hindered them from negotiating for their own fighter, then why is that promoter even having that fighter signed? They should get rid of the fighter if you're going to lose money. They're not trying to lose money. It's just the fact that Bob Arum's been with Terence Crawford for quite some time, and he's probably right. He lost some money on Terence Crawford. But at the end of the day, what is he saying? He's just talking. He's just talking. He needs to make sure, or whoever's managing Terence Crawford needs to make sure they do a damn good job at the table. I just don't see. We can tell two grown men to not negotiate money between themselves. That's tough to do. They can negotiate all they want, but it's only good for certain fighters. And what you're saying when it comes to Terence Crawford and Errol Spence. King Mitch says Canelo is the A side versus anyone. And I agree. There's no way he comes down to 47 and Errol Spence the A side. This is where it contradicts at. This is what I was trying to explain. And Canelo drops down to 47 with no fights at 47. And he fights Errol Spence. He's the A side of what he's been able to accomplish in his career. Period. He's the A side. It's no fucking question. When Errol Spence moves up and try to fight Canelo at 160, what is he? The B side. Period. It doesn't matter how many belts Errol Spence has. He can have Manny Pacquiao belt, WBA belt, and move up to face Canelo. He's still the B side.
Hey, gentlemen, I gotta chime off though because my shit is on 2%. I'm gonna fall back though because it charges quicker when it's not on when I'm not on StreamYard.
All right. Salute to you, brother.
Yeah,
I appreciate you,
bro.
Great
conversation though. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate you both.
Yeah, for sure, bro.
Easy.
And not to cut you off, but I feel like Errol Spence would take that fight as the B side, no questions asked, and it wouldn't be all this controversy like
he has no choice, Ivy.
He's gonna take that fight. If he's the B side, C side, B side, or E side, he's gonna take that fight.
And he has no choice, man. You acting like he has an option. He don't have an option.
No, you're right. No, you're right about that, man. But it wouldn't be all this speculation. It wouldn't be all this back and forth. He's gonna take that fight, whether he the B side or the C side. He's gonna take that fight.
I agree, man. He'll get more of the purse. That makes him the A side. He may be challenger, but still the A side. Real talk. Ron says A side deals with revenue. Triple G wasn't bringing the money against Nello, so he wouldn't be the A side. And Canelo wasn't bringing the money against Triple G. They was pretty much equal in playing ball together. You can't balance the scales of popularity when it comes to these two. They matched up because of what they was doing in the ring. They thought Triple G was this freaking machine. He wasn't a PPV star. And then you look over here at Canelo Alvarez. He's the top of what he does. He's beating who he's beating. None of them were PPV kings. Period. So you can't say, Triple G wasn't bringing the money. How do you know he wasn't bringing the money? He was a big star. He was the champion. So all of a sudden, it's all about money because you're trying to advocate for Errol Spence. You can't play it that way. You can't just say it's all about the dollar bill because Errol Spence is in your hometown and he's trying to build up home-based revenue and he has Jerry Jones supporting him. What you're saying does not resonate across the board when it comes to boxing. It's no way that can be played out that way when you're talking about his numbers and what he's been able to do in Texas, vice where he stands in the sport of boxing. Errol Spence is not a PPV star. He's absolutely not a PPV star. He isn't. You cannot say Triple G wasn't bringing in the fans and Canelo was. We can't say that shit because both of them was pretty much equal going into that fight. In that case, why wasn't it a 70-30 fight? Why wasn't it? I mean, why was Canelo the A side and Triple G had all the belts? Why wasn't Triple G the A side regardless? You can't say he wasn't bringing in the numbers, man. Both fighters wasn't doing huge numbers anywhere. Joe Jack, does boxing accomplishment outweigh money generating in fights while negotiating a fight? It has to. What's your thoughts on that, IB? Does boxing accomplishments outweigh money generated in fights while negotiating a fight?
Yeah,
I'm gonna go after you.
In the sport of boxing, you definitely look at the accomplishments of a fighter first. But it seems like current days with all this politics, like for instance, this when you co-promote, both networks, both sides have to make a benefit. When you co-promote, everybody has to have earnings coming in. Everybody has to look back and say, okay, that was a successful co-promotion. Nobody wants to lose on either end. So you want to make sure all the numbers are right when you co-promote. Keyword, co-promote. If you on the same side of the fence, okay, fights might be easier to make. But true. Accomplishments are always outweigh some money when it comes to the sport of boxing, in my eyes, coming from a boxing fan. So I'm going to look at accomplishments first. But you also, if you're not doing nothing in the sport of boxing, you're not going to sell. But it's a lot of people that, you know what I mean, done a lot that don't sell. So that's one of those questions where it could be either or. But when you co-promote, you have to make sure that everything will be beneficial for both sides of the fence.
So let me ask you this question there, IB. How does a fighter make more money in the sport of boxing?
I mean, you just got to look at it now. Like you can be as accomplished as a Bud Crawford, but
just the word, just like you said, a fighter makes more money off their accomplishments, right?
Yeah.
So when everybody's coming here talking
I would say promoting yourself as much as possible. You know, whoever you with, promotion definitely plays a big key into, you know what I mean, bringing views, and views bring money, and ticket sales and pay-per-view sales generate money. So I would say promotion. That's one of the main keys to generating this money.
Yes, but when it comes down to generating money, you have to have what? A championship belt. When at the end of the day, when you are considering yourself one of boxing elite superstars, what is an elite superstar? A person who's accomplished what? Some way, somehow, you have to accomplish what? A championship, right?
Yes, sir. You got to be a champion.
So you have to be a champion.
That's the top of the top. Champions is at the top. Champions is the top.
For a long time, everybody who's tuning in, for a long time, the pound for pound list consisted of fighters who had championship belts. I don't know if it's a pandemic or anything else, but recently, with the switch up, now we have fighters on there with no belts. We have Alexander Usyk, who used to be the cruiserweight champion. He's still undefeated, and he just coming off that fight with Derek Chisora. He's sitting up there with no belts. They just waiting on him to build up his mandatory with Anthony Joshua, whatever. He don't have a belt. Vasyl Lomachenko, he was sitting in numbers 2 for a long time. He gets beat. They put him in number 7, right next to Teofimo Lopez. So my question, I mean, not a question to you, IB, but my question to those of you that's out there, when you're talking about generating money, how do you generate money? You have to win championships in different divisions. You have to win championships in different divisions for people to consider you a superstar. Just like Canelo Alvarez, he's going to different divisions, winning belts. He's not taking tune-ups. He's going in there picking up championship belts. So when you're up here saying that it's a popularity, what is the numbers they're doing? Errol Spence can continue to be a 2-time world champion and fight in Texas at 147 pounds. And what is it going to do for him on the pound for pound list there, IB?
Like I said, man, pound by definition, you guys can look it up in the chat, man. Pound for pound is being a champion at multiple divisions.
Multiple divisions.
Pound
but it's
for
only,
pound.
it's only for certain
Pound
people.
for pound.
It's only for certain people, though. You know why I'm saying this? Look at
you're
Triple
right.
G.
You're right.
Triple G been sitting, what, number 7, number 10, number 8. It's been in the middleweight division forever and a day, man. They got him on the pound-for-pound list. Oleksandr Usyk, he just moved up to heavyweight, so they throw him on the pound-for-pound list. But most of the time, you have people with multi-divisions. Errol Spence, he's been able to get on the pound-for-pound list of popularity. I mean, you tell me why Errol Spence is on the top pound-for-pound list. If going off your narrative, and I agree with you, you saying by definition is per division, you know, accomplishing in multiple divisions, right? And the majority of the people that's on there previously was multi-division champion. Not until, you know, Teofimo Lopez, who was a single division unified champion, he defeated one of the top pound-for-pound guys. Now he's sitting at number 6 on the top pound-for-pound list. Now the shit has changed. What is the goddamn criteria? They throwing Tyson Fury on the top pound-for-pound list, IB, after defeating Deontay Wilder. But they never wanted to put Deontay Wilder up there while he was reigning champion.
Yeah, I wouldn't even put heavyweights in the category to be in the pound-for-pound list because, you know, most heavyweights, you know, been at heavyweight. They never been at no other division. So either we're going to call this the pound-for-pound list or we're going to call this the best in boxing list. I don't get it. But pound for pound, by definition, is pound for pound, division by division, division for division, being a champion, moving up, being a champion, moving up, being a champion, and again, you know, and it goes on and it goes on. But a single division champion, I don't feel like should be on the pound for pound list. You know, by definition, you can look up pound for pound, and you can look it up right now. It'll tell you, you know, being a champion in multiple divisions. So either we got the best of the best, or we got pound for pound. What are we talking? The best of the best in boxing, or pound for pound, the best pound for pound? It's self-explanatory right there, man. Pound for pound.
I link up with you on that, bro. And I'm just trying, you know, I want to get it clear to those of you that's tuned in. Just because you push a narrative and you have a favorite fight in your hometown, PPV did not put Conor McGregor on the pound for pound list. He went ahead and faced Floyd Mayweather in an 0-0 boxing record, and they sit number 2, top pound for pound. Look. You think I'm playing? I got my receipts, man. Look, check this out. Because people get it twisted when we're talking about, is this it? Let me see. This is it right here. Let me get that comment off there. Floyd Mayweather versus Conor McGregor, 5.17 million. Is the second place, the biggest media spectacle in recent history. The fight was the biggest crossover in combat sports history. The bout took place in 2017, and Floyd won the fight via TKO. We already know that. The event sold 5.17 million PPVs, y'all. 5.17 PPVs. So all that to say this. What are some of y'all talking about? Errol Spence selling those little measly PPV numbers, and it's supposed to mean something. It is not breaching top 5. He has not basically earned a championship in another division. Even though he's on the pound for pound list, he's been in a single division. So why sit up here and exalt him the way you are as if he's did something spectacular? He hasn't did anything spectacular. He just unified with Sean Porter last year. Man, why y'all hyping this dude up? Bud Crawford stopped boxing today. He's a Hall of Famer, period. I don't care what nobody say. He's a Hall of Famer. Milo said Ryan would definitely be the A side against Haney. You want to comment on that there, IB? Milo said Ryan would definitely be the A side against Haney.
I mean, you got to look at it like this, man. Ryan Garcia is a great fighter at 135. His popularity on social media is outstanding, yes. But when it comes to A side and the B side between Haney and Ryan Garcia, we just got to split it to the point where who has the belt is going to be the A side and who is the challenger is going to be the B side. Ryan will have to challenge Devin Haney. That belt separates them two because they're both popular. We don't really care about social media in the sport of boxing right now, but when it comes to who actually has more to bring to the table, Devin Haney is the rightful 135 WBC world champion. So how could a Ryan Garcia be the A side, my brother? Because he has a big social media following and he might be more
So what
popular.
if he comes in as the interim champion off a Luke Campbell win? What is that? What do you think about that, IB?
The interim is still below the world champion.
Correct. But him bringing social media followers, and we're talking about individuals who's talking about popularity and all this, and those are the ones that's going to purchase the fight, right? So does that, in Ron's defense, he said Triple G didn't sell. So in this case, Ryan Garcia has the larger freaking following. So in that particular case, Canelo had the damn followers. Triple G didn't. That's why Canelo was the motherfucking A side. So why not Ryan Garcia, who has the huger social media following, come in here to this fight with Devin Haney, who doesn't have that following, and be the A side?
And I understand that 100%. Why would I sell out a paper? Why would I sell a fight for you to make more benefit? I understand that. Why would I sell a fight for you to make more benefit than me? And I sold the fight. I get that. But how will we really know who sold more than the other fighter? All we can go off of is who has more to bring to the table than the other fighter. You know what I mean? But I mean, if we had to fight in Mexico or something like that, I feel like, yeah, of course, most of those fighters might be for Ryan Garcia. Or we had it in, you know what I mean? But that's why Errol Spence done what he done in these fights, having them in Texas, because he know he sells the most in Texas. You just got to be smart sometime, you know? He wouldn't have sold that many if he went to the Barclays or, you know what I mean, somewhere, you know what I mean? He's so good at the Staples Center. But
that's all I'm saying.
It's just being smart. You know, you got to know where you sell as well. He's more fan friendly in Texas.
That's a damn good point, because that's all I'm trying to say. You know, you just started trying to boost up your notoriety in your backyard. You know, you got the cosign from Jerry Jones to start, you know, hosting in your hometown. Okay, the pandemic is here and Texas is thriving with fights. So now you just had, you know, fights that took place over there to close out the year. And this is Texas we're talking about. So we're not talking about a nesting bed for boxing who has had some of the biggest boxing bouts ever in boxing. So how can you sit up here and extract Errol Spence and say, oh, look at the numbers he just did. Errol Spence doing it. He's trying to build up his freaking fan base in his hometown like he should. But that doesn't mean it encompasses the entire sport of boxing when it comes to him selling PPV numbers. Just like the Charlo brothers. They did marginal numbers, and they're both in Texas. They're both in Texas, bro. I mean, I'm not understanding where all this hype is coming from. Black Star Sport TV, salute to you, my brother. Ryan Garcia is the A side for popularity, not achievement. And that is a problem in boxing. Solid point, man. I just want people to have a sticking point and validate it the right way. You know what I'm saying? Just don't come up here with no bubblegum type shit that you brought from the bottom side of the table. Say, you know what? Man, I peel this shit off, man. It still got some flavor to it. So let me try to, you know, sell it to IB like it's straight out the package. It's not gonna fucking happen, man. Like, come on. Milo said achievements versus popularity. Joe Jack said Canelo's PPV numbers was better than Triple G before they fought their first fight. But we're talking about the way they looking at, okay, just take what you just said, Joe Jack, Canelo's PPV numbers. Let's take what you just said. What is more important? The fact that Canelo had PPV numbers or the fact that Triple G had belts? Because in this particular narrative with Errol Spence, it's all about the belts. Because who gives a damn about his PPV numbers? Because he really hasn't did all this freaking outstanding PPV, and he's breaching this incredible amount of numbers in one division. He just became unified. So before he fought Sean Porter, Was he doing these astounding numbers? Was he just somebody that everybody was talking about? He went up there and fought Sean Porter, who wasn't an undefeated fighter. So most people, when they talk about Errol Spence, Terence Crawford, they talk about what? Belts. Belts. That's what they're talking about. Because equally, in my opinion, Errol Spence, Terence Crawford are equal dance partners on a PPV. It has absolutely nothing to do with Errol Spence minuscule PPV numbers and him trying to, sell fights in his backyard in Texas. I understand him trying to get the bag and expand his popularity. I salute him for that. Real talk. But Terence Crawford is also a boxing star, just like Anthony Joshua stepping into Wembley Stadium with Vladimir Klitschko, who had been on a hiatus. Let's get it clear. They sold out Wembley because Klitschko and Joshua together helped that happen. Not just Anthony Joshua. It was Klitschko too, and he was coming off a layoff. Milo said Canelo versus EJ on the zone. Conor McGregor versus Bud in the UFC. Man, who does more? I really can't go into that because, first of all, that's a whole different type of audience and structure. And you really can't compare that to boxing because boxing is still bigger than mixed martial arts. And it's definitely bigger than the promotion of UFC. Look what you asked. You're saying Canelo versus EJ on the zone, Vice, you're still going to get a collective boxing audience. Even though the zone is struggling right now, you're still going to get a collective boxing audience. As in the UFC, is Bud, who people say don't have too much of a following in boxing, are they really going to tune in? They may, because they feel like Conor McGregor is going to kick the shit out of him and goddamn, play around with him. I mean, the curiosity is there. But when we're talking about promotion to promotion, man, I don't know, man. That's a very different type of scenario because we have a different audience, man. We have a different audience when it comes to mixed martial arts and boxing. King Mitch say you're not number one if it's arguably Callum Smith was ranked number one before the fight. After the fight, he says he may have outgrown the division, promotional use only. Ron said Nello was a PPV star though, but Triple G has the belts, and to the narrative of a lot of people, we're talking about Errol Spence. He has the unified titles. So how is he so much the PPV star? How is he so much the A side when it's coming to Crawford when Crawford's a 3-division champion? We can go back to titles and we can go to PPV numbers. You can dangle that shit back and forth just like a pendulum. But at the end of the day, you got to pick one narrative and stick to it and have merit behind it on where you're trying to push it. And when you push it, you have to go off what the history says in boxing. Right now, it depends on who is the fighter. Canelo Alvarez get away with a lot of shit, and people support him. But then Terence Crawford, who's a 3-division, multi-division champion, formerly undisputed, people want to say, oh, Spence. Spence is the A side. And then Spence want to keep on convincing people that he's the top dog at 47. Why you keep saying that? Just negotiate the fight and prove that you're the top dog. Go in there and defeat Terence Crawford, and there'll be no questions asked. D-Ray, salute WCS. Appreciate you. I'm not talking about any financial. I'm not talking about any financial, all these extra layers that has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. King Mick said, I just want to say it, numbers outweigh accomplishments in boxing. I'm going to say it, numbers outweigh accomplishments. So you're talking about PPV numbers? If the accomplishments aren't as current, Mayweather made 300 million, Pac-Man made 100. Some say Pac is more accomplished. Part of promoting, my fault. Damn, this shit jumped. part of promoting is who you fight. Spence wasn't heard of until he started beating fighters that's the top guys. And let's not forget him being in the division for I don't know how long. He's been campaigning the division forever. Man, why are y'all going so far back? Run. Come on, bro. Man, nobody's talking about Algieri and Bondu. Man, you keep on talking. That's outside. That's not something that I don't. We're talking about right now, right here, as far as them moving forward. No one's talking about them fighters. Because if I said,
exactly.
I want to
at least talk about when Spence was a champion, and from there on, at least talk about that. We're not talking about nothing below that. At least talk about from the Kell Brook fight on.
Yeah, you know, from what he's accomplished now, that's comparable to Terence Crawford. What are we comparing them to right now as a selling point leading into this PPV? That's all I want to talk about. Like, does one have more than the other? What are they taking to the negotiation table? Is it a 60-40 fight or a 50-50 fight? I don't think definitely it's a 70-30. I think that's a little bit out of the scope of respect. I think, you know, Errol Spence is just being a bit facetious. You know, he just playing around, you know, antagonizing Terence Crawford a little bit. That's all I think. Pound for pound is an eye test. It's an opinion-based label and skill set would best translate to another weight class. Simple. That ain't simple what you just said, bro. Pound for pound is an eye test. Okay. If pound for pound is an eye test, it's plenty of fighters should be on the pound for pound list. If we talking about an eye test, plenty should be on the pound for pound list. If we going off an eye test, with the eye test becomes what? Popularity. Because in order for you to understand somebody's popular, you have to pay attention to them, in my opinion. Neither one of them really A-side like that. Garcia or Haney. Neither one of them the A-side like that. Garcia or Haney. I can't front come back. If Conor McGregor lost by close decision to Mayweather, he might have cracked the top 10. Hell no, Mitch. Dunny Hall, what's good, man? Salute to you. Say good evening from the D Hall show. Salute to you, my brother. J8. Spence have to do something at 154. He need to get a belt up there. 154 division is crucial. The email champ versus the IG champ. Damn. The email champ versus the IG champ. I rock with Errol, but it's always something when it comes to Bud. See, that's all I'm saying, Jay. Errol did good in Jersey and California. We're not saying Errol hasn't did good. What is good? Vice, when we talking about great. Has Errol did something great yet, or has he did something just good? You got to log in there, Ron. They say, I can't bring you in. The device is not connected. Bro, you got to log in. Spence get love at the Barclays. Dallas holds. What? More people. How? Spence get loves at the Barclays. Manny been fighting at Texas Stadium because they hold more people. Manny brings the Filipino freaking fan base with him. You know what I'm saying? Manny brings everything he's accomplished in the sport. The Filipinos support their fighters much more than black people support black fighters. That's a fact. You know, Manny and the Filipino nation, hey, they have a strong, legitimate fan base that pay to see their fighters. Canelo fighting Floyd. I don't know what that has to do with the topic, bro. We're talking about right now comparable to the belts and PPV to a sense where we're trying to generate the names that Errol Spence is attached to. Errol Spence is trying to fight Canelo. Errol Spence, Terence Crawford, all that is connected together. Terence Crawford, Errol Spence, Canelo. Canelo to Errol Spence. And then now including Jermall Charlo. You know what I'm saying? That's just what we're looking at right now. Hey, Thomas, I can't bring you on because they say devices are not connected, man. Spence is older than Canelo. Older than Canelo. I'm not sure. Okay. All right, Jay. Well, we just want to see the fight, but it's always going to be about ABC sides. What's good there, Ron? Ron, you there? Unmute your mic or something like that. I can't hear you, man. You there, man? I can't hear you. Okay, JA said the Philippines will play many fights on every TV station they have. You're right about that. So you think it'll be different if EJ was from Omaha and Bud was from Dallas? Hey, what you think about that, IB? That's a good question for Milo. You think people will look at him different? Let's just say this, IB. Let's say if Crawford acted the same way and he was from Dallas, he was because Errol is not from Dallas, first of all. But let's just say
he's from New York.
Correct. You're right. So let's just say this. Let's say Crawford was residing in Dallas and freaking EJ was over there in Omaha. To what Milo just asked, you think it'll be different as far as the perception from the fans and popularity?
It'll be a lot different. I feel like it's way more boxing fans down there in Texas, hardcore boxing fans that stand behind their fighters in Texas than Little Old Nebraska. Not saying it's Little Old Nebraska, but you know, it just is what it is, man. A lot of fighters are marketable in different places versus other places, you know. But Bud is the, you know, more quiet, you know, type of guy, laid back. You know, him and his team, they're a little bit more, you know, under the radar than Spence and his team is, you know. But, you know, it is what it is, man. It'll definitely be a difference. If Bud fought out of Texas, he would have more popularity, more publicity. And I feel like they would promote him a lot different. But that's when networks come into play, you know. He's under Bob Arum, you know, Errol Spence being under, you know what I mean, Al Heyman at PBC. They move differently in the sport of boxing. So we got to look at that as well. But it would be a difference, a big difference. And it'll benefit Bud more if he was from Texas than being from Omaha, in my opinion.
You know, what I do know, everybody's tuned in. A lot of people say that Bud, he doesn't self-promote himself enough, right? But neither does Errol Spence. And so what IB just said makes sense. You know, and you know, if you're talking about answering what Milo put out there, it makes a lot of sense about him being in Texas. Because let's just take the accident away. Was Errol Spence on social media a lot like that? Is he the one that's out here? No, he's in a different geographical footprint, and people in that area, you know, probably gravitate the Errol Spence a little bit more. They can relate to him, to the culture. But with Omaha, Nebraska, him bringing his family to the fight, him being a family guy, you know, him not being from a well-known footprint, people not gravitating to Bud like that. Even though he can box his ass off and he's accomplished in the sport of boxing, people are not saying, man, you know, Bud's cool dude, man. Like, you know, you just don't have teenagers tuning in to say, okay, let me see what Bud Crawford's doing. They'll probably tune in and see what Errol Spence is doing first. Because Errol Spence don't promote himself.
Yeah, the best thing he did was, not to cut you off, but you remember when he went to the Dallas Cowboys Stadium and he did that little promotion with, you know, that was one of the best, you know, breakthroughs as far as, you know, him trying to promote himself. But before that, you're right. It wasn't no big, you know what I mean, promotion for Errol Spence at all. But once he became a champion and he got up, you know what I mean, up to par and started learning a little bit more about, you know, promoting himself and getting guys like, you know, Jerry and them to come to the, you know what I mean, the stadium and do what he do with the Dallas Cowboys and stuff like that. That helped out a lot. So that would make the casual eye gravitate a little bit more towards the Errol Spence. We don't have no NFL teams over in Omaha, Nebraska or nothing like that for a Bud Crawford to go to. We don't have that many boxing fans out of Nebraska that's, you know, rooting for. I see a lot of people from Nebraska that's choosing Errol over Bud Crawford.
Damn. So you saying Bud Crawford should have showed up to a college football team and a football game?
Promotion is promotion.
And game over some, you know, gain some new fans and shit.
Hey man, promotion is promotion, man. Errol Spence was smart for taking that offer and doing what he did. That definitely put his name out there a lot. Seeing him out of NFL, the Cowboys is one of the most known NFL teams, and it always have been, and it probably always will be. That was one of the best moves I felt like he made made on a promotional side to get his name out in the public, not just the boxing scene, in the public as a whole. So of course, more people want to see what he was about because they don't know Bud Crawford. You know, he made himself a little bit more known, and he put the footwork in to make himself a little bit more known than the Terence Crawford. Although Terence Crawford is more accomplished in the sport of boxing, but we're talking casual fans also buying these tickets too that don't know nothing about boxing at all, but they still buy a ticket. They still buy a seat to see a specific fighter that they're interested in.
Good point, man. Hey, Ron, you there? Can your mic good? Ron, you there? I can't hear you, bro. I can't hear anything. Let me know when you come back on, man.
Yeah, if he was talking and his mic was on mute, you would still be able to see the ring around his avatar picture saying something. I don't see nothing though, or I can't hear him either. But
Hey,
salute,
Ron, your mic. You just muted your mic, but I'm unable to hear you, man. Your mic is unmuted right now. You can say something, man. I can't hear you, bro. Welcome to the YouTube. There, Ron. Shit. Hey, let me know. Just chime in when you get a chance. D-Ray say Milo, yes. And that's a solid point, IB. That's a solid point you just made about, you know, the last point you made about, you know, Nebraska, Dallas. Do you remember the fight that the first time we see Jerry Jones co-sign Errol Spence? Do you remember what fight that was?
Was it the I think it was the Ocampo fight? Was it the Ocampo or the Mikey Garcia fight? I think he went to it was one of those fights, Mikey or Ocampo.
So when we seen, it wasn't Mikey. Mikey just moved up. It was way before Mikey. Okay. It wasn't Mikey.
The Ocampo fight then, most definitely it had to be an Ocampo fight then.
Yeah. So I'm glad you said that, my brother. Now let's answer the question there, IB. When he showed the world that Jerry Jones of all people was supporting him, who the fuck was Carlos Ocampo?
Man, I mean, he was a nobody, man. Somebody everybody expected Errol to beat.
Okay, so he was a nobody, but all of a sudden, Jerry Jones show up at a fight. It wasn't this PPV, none of that bullshit. Jerry Jones showed up to a fight with Errol Spence that nobody fucking knows. He stopped the man in the first round. Nobody freaking knows. Nobody damn know that dude. I mean, I was at the fight. I mean, no one knows that guy. So I appreciate, you know, what you said about him, you know, elevating his promotion in his hometown. But let's be real. When Jerry Jones showed up, it's probably some talk. I don't know if Jerry Jones just showed up support. Errol Spence team got with Jerry Jones or whatever. But for him to show up at a fight that did not generate an extensive amount of publicity, I mean, it wasn't anything huge. It was Carlos Ocampo. It was just in, you know, the Jerry Jones world, as they call it up there in Texas. And he went there and knocked the dude out in the first round, and it was nothing special about it. But Jerry Jones was there. I think he was the biggest thing that night, Jerry Jones. So salute to Errol Spence for breaking through on that night. But the opponent that he did it with, it wasn't anything special. I mean, Carlos Ocampo landed a two-punch combination on Errol Spence, and Errol Spence knocked him out. The rest is history. But good point, man. D-Ray, I think the boys will not care about boxing. At D-Ray, I agree. Texas is a football country. Yeah, that's true. Hey, Nebraska is too when it comes to college. God damn it, shit. Nebraska is. Are you there yet, Ron, or what? Well, are you there? You need to be able to talk on speaker or something, because your mic isn't muted, but I can't hear a word you're saying, man.
Go to the cam/mic settings on a stream on StreamYard and try to see whether you're on speakerphone or default, and try to see if that'll work. click the cam/mic settings and see if you're on speakerphone or default. If you're on one or the other, just click the other one and see if that'll work for you.
And the cam says, "Are you there? Was that URB or him?"
That was me. I was just about to
okay.
put a little example out there. Like, it's just like, you know, if me and you both selling a product and it's the same type of product, but I have a commercial for my product and you just pushing your product, you know, on the streets and by word of mouth. More people in the world are going to see my product versus your product, you know? It's just kind of one of those type of situations. Errol Spence set it up to the point where, I can see you now, brother, but I can't hear you. Can you say something? I can hear your mouth moving. Are you on mute? Did you go to the cam/mic settings?
What up, Ron?
I can see him, but I can't hear him.
We can't hear you, bro.
It might be the headphones.
Hey, are you on headphones or you on Bluetooth or what? We can't hear you, Ron. He'll get it right. Hey, let me ask you this, IB. I can't hear you. Let me ask you this. What you think about Charlo all of a sudden wanting to move up to 168 and chase Canelo? Do you believe that Canelo is going to give him a shot? And does he have priority? Because what has he done at the 160-pound division to give him a little bit of priority or, I don't know, attention moving up to 168 pounds? You know what I'm saying? To chase Canelo. Should Canelo give him a fight when he's trying to unify the super middleweight division?
If Jermall moves up, I mean, Charlo doesn't really have anything for Canelo. I feel like they should meet at 160. But the Charlo definitely been chasing him since 154. So I don't know. It's up to it's Canelo's prerogative or whether he want to fight a Charlo and take that risk. I don't know. But if I was Jermall, I would still try to at least get a unification at 160. If that's not happening, then okay, try to chase Canelo. But I would worry about 160 first and try to be more accomplished at 160 versus chasing Canelo. But we all know Canelo is a money fight. So everybody wants Canelo, of course. If you can get that fight, why not chase it? Why not go after it? But if it's unrealistic at the time, I would just sit down and try to accomplish myself a bit more where I'm at.
So how does he do that, man? He's been there. He just fought Sergey Derevyanchenko, who's fought Daniel Jacobs. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
who's fought Triple G. You know what I'm saying? So, okay, we could arguably say that was the biggest fight on his resume right there. Sergey Derevyanchenko.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Hey, Ron, can you hear him, bro, or what? We can't hear you, bro. Your mic.
I'll try taking my headphones out and talking directly into the device.
Hold on for a second. Major Key, that's you?
Yeah, that's me, brother.
Okay.
No, I had to commend IB right now because what he was saying was what I was like. I've been trying to say. What he just said was, everybody sees Charlo as a great fucking champion, that the potential champion. You know what I'm saying? And he just needs to worry about what he's doing right now. So to build that, you know what I mean, to get to that fight. I think that we're talking about Terence Crawford, Errol Spence. Look how drawn out that is. And we're gonna talk about, Canelo ducking Charlo. No. He gotta bring his name up. You know what I mean? That's what Errol Spence has been saying about Terence Crawford, right? So it's the flip side of everything, and there's always going to be two sides to the coin. But I think that you made an excellent point right now. I was listening. I just came back in because I was chilling with my son with my phone charged a little bit. You know what I mean? And then I heard that. I was like, oh, there we go. Hit the nail on the head. You know what I'm saying?
And you can guarantee if Major Key anywhere in the proximity with Canelo is bitching, shit, he's gonna pop up out of nowhere, dog.
You know
that
what I mean?
Goddamn go to the high water to defend Canelo Alvarez. Shit.
No, when it comes to a Charlo versus a Canelo, come on, man. The ball is always going to be on Canelo's court, man.
Always.
So Charlo don't need to go chasing a Canelo. You know, Canelo will find you, but you got to still worry about becoming accomplished where you at. You only have the WBC belt at 160.
Man, you got to be honest. Like, okay, if we saying that Jermall Charlo needs to build up his popularity along with his credentials. He's a 2-division champion. Okay, but he's did minimal at the middleweight division, right? Why would Canelo go searching for him? You know, like, I know what look, we can even say this though. Okay, if we're gonna use that, then we can say that he went up there searching for Rocky Fielding. But listen, Rocky Fielding had a belt that Canelo didn't have. Canelo ain't trying to get a belt that he got rid of to be the franchise champion. So that's why he's franchised, because he can do what the fuck he want. He ain't going down there for a belt. What does Charlo has outside of a name? He went up to Rocky Fielding because he had the WBA regular. He went to Calvin Smith because he had the WBA super. He went up to Sergey Kovalev to scoop that belt up too. So what's next? He's not looking for Charlo, bro. He's not gonna do it.
I agree. But everybody and their mamas is running after Canelo because they know that's a money fight. And it's still a great name to have if you beat this man as well on your legacy, on your resume. So maybe that has to be the reason. You know what I mean? That'd be the only reason to leave a division you at already being a champion to fight a Canelo. Yeah. But Errol Spence said it'll be at 160. He never said 147, 154 because he knows Canelo's he's in that. Canelo wants to fight, you know what I mean? A champion, period. He's going to take a fight. He's going to move up, but it's always going to be a champion. Don't get me wrong, but it might not necessarily be the fight the fans want to see. Canelo being Canelo.
Let me ask the live chat and everybody. What does Errol Spence rate moving up to fight Canelo? What percentage? Real talk. We're talking about multi-division champion, top pound for pound. Man, come on, man. What does Errol Spence rate?
I don't see Errol having a chance against Canelo if he moves up, man. You talking the same thing like Mikey Garcia was great at 140, but he moved up to 147. Or I'm sorry, 135. He moved up to 147 to fight Errol Spence. Look what happened, man. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna see the same thing.
What does he rate, Major Key? What does Errol Spence rate? He rate 90-10. He rate 80-20.
Talking about the A side or B side division. Okay, yeah. I mean, when it comes down to it, man, like Errol Spence cannot say that he's the A side coming up to 160 against. And that's why I posed a question earlier. Remember, I was on earlier, and I was saying, like, you know, I posed a couple of questions, and you saw where I was leading to. You know, at the end of the day, man, like he's no A side to Canelo. I'm sorry, he's the face of boxing. Canelo's the face of boxing right now. Whether you like it or not, he's the face of boxing. You know what I'm saying? You got a couple of heavyweights. You got a couple of heavyweights making noise because everybody loves the heavyweight division because one punch will knock you out. So you got that, but then you gotta like consider that casuals don't really follow the lower weight classes. They know all the heavyweights, but they don't really follow the lower weight classes, you know? And then when you're talking about Canelo Alvarez, he's going to be the A side, man, because everybody knows him from fighting Mayweather and everything that he's done since then.
Hey, Major Key, though, but I was asking the live chat and the panel, what does Errol Spence rate? Does he rate 50-50, 60-40, 70-30? What does he rate?
70-30 at 160.
Yeah, to Canelo? To Canelo?
To Canelo, yeah. What do you think is a fair percentage that he rates?
If he's saying that it's 70-30 versus Crawford, I'm gonna say 80-20. Canelo.
I say 70-30, especially at 160.
just because he was that disrespectful to Terence Crawford.
Yeah, 70-30, definitely at 160.
He'd be lucky if he gets that fight. He'd be lucky if he gets that fight because that's a cash out fight. That's a good fight for him. You know what I'm saying? That's a good fight for anybody trying to cash out.
Yeah, I guess, man, you know, I don't even think 70-30, man. You know what I'm saying? The reason being he's never fought at 60. He's been in a single division. You know what I'm saying? He's not even top 3 pound for pound. That's just me, man. I really don't get in this money shit and what somebody that's probably only the second or third time I ever asked what somebody rate, because in this particular situation, we're talking about pound for pound guys that's on the list. We're talking about him being connected to Terence Crawford and his obligations there. But yet he's out here at the zone, you know, trying to call out Canelo Alvarez when he just said he don't know why Terence Crawford showed up to his fight. But you show up to show face to Canelo Alvarez, to call him the fuck out. So I don't know what Errol Spence got going on. Hey, Thomas, you might need to take out your headphones, man. I don't know what's going on with him, but he's got to come back, dog.
Time I put my headphones on and nobody could hear me, so you might be right. It might be the headphones.
Take out the headphones, bro. Just unplug the headphones. Can you hear us? These rookies trying to come up here, man. Hey, me and him served together, man. Me and him served together in the military.
That's what's
but that
up,
don't mean he know what he's doing over here on YouTube, man. I'm gonna have to hit him up after. King Miss said Darian Chinko was a great win for Charlo. Charlo can make a fight easier with the 168 champs. Unifying at 160 is difficult. You ain't never lied. Unifying would be very difficult for Charlo. But you know, my whole point for Jermall Charlo, it just seemed like he's reacting to what Errol Spence is doing right now. Look, I know he had tried to say that Canelo has to come down to 160. I guess now he's finding out that a lot of people are buzzing over Errol Spence trying to get a fight with Canelo Alvarez. And listen, all of them in the same backyard of Texas. So if Errol Spence is able to get the fight with Canelo before Jermall Charlo, that's going to be fucked up. That might ruin some friendships. You know what I'm saying? That might, like, goddamn, how are you able to pull that shit off and you 2 divisions below me? You know what I'm saying? Charlo better chasing a Benavidez fight to try to become a Mando. You know, that's what I said too. I said, go out there and beat David Benavidez. You know, how y'all think that fight, man? How do y'all look at that fight? David Benavidez versus Jermall Charlo.
It's a great fight. You know, it's a great fight. But if Charlo couldn't get a Danny Jacobs fight or a Boo Boo Andre fight at 160, then what makes him feel like he's about to get a Canelo fight? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, I hear you, bro. I mean, hey, I guess it takes somebody else to say that shit, because I say he have did nothing 60, like J8 just said. King Mitch said Darian Chinko was his best opposition to date, and that's after facing Daniel Jacobs and Triple G. So yeah, man, what make us believe that he's going to get the Canelo fight, man? I don't see it happening. D Ray say 80-20. That's what I think Errol Spence rates moving up to fight Canelo. 80-20. Come on, man. I'm serious. That's what I think. I agree. Boxing has no face. Canelo is the bag of boxing. Okay, the money bag. Okay, I get you. So let me ask y'all this, since we got Canelo on the topic. Do you believe that Canelo Alvarez will ever move up if they say the Bridger weight? Do you think Canelo Alvarez will move up to 10 and pick up a belt in the Bridger weight if they bring that on board?
He said himself, and I know that a lot of people don't understand Spanish, so I'm gonna translate for you guys. In the post-fight interview, he said they asked him about moving up, and he said, "No, that's too big." They asked him about cruiserweight.
That was the cruiser, yeah.
Yeah, and he said, "No, that's he's like, it's too much. It's too much." You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, so he already understands his limits. So he's not going to try to go up that high. You know what I'm saying? Like you know, Roy Jones was a special fighter for defeating Ruiz. You know what I'm saying? The way he did that was great. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I like one of my pound for pound top all time is Roy Jones, because of he looked like a machine at that time. He didn't even look human. He looked like a machine. You You know what I'm saying? So, but Canelo knows his limits. And he's not to say he's elite, but he's not Roy Jones. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
and so that's why I got to give him credit for stating that. He was like, he knows his limits. He said, look, you know, it's too much. It's too much. I'm trying to unify 168. He said it in Spanish though, so I get it if nobody caught that, but he said it in Spanish.
Yeah, I understand what Canelo Alvarez said about cruiserweight, but isn't Bridgerweight supposed to be the next after light heavy? If I'm not mistaken.
You said what? You said what weight?
Isn't Bridgerweight this new weight that they're trying to bring on deck? Aren't they talking about that's going to be above light heavy?
I'm not sure. I haven't seen that weight class in boxing. I know I've always known of cruiserweight being after light heavyweight.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm talking about, are they talking about bringing in Bridgerweight after cruiserweight? I think it might be after cruiserweight.
And then heavyweight being like two something plus rather than 200 plus.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think I heard something like that too. But I'm not sure.
Hey, Ron, you there? Can you hear us, man? You speak? Your mic still can't hear you, bro. Well, I would like for Canelo Alvarez to move up one more division outside of light heavyweight. I think he can do it. Hey, it's all about the opponent he chooses. If he picks the right opponent in the next weight division, he can become what, a 5-division champion?
That'd be cruiserweight.
That's what I'm saying. Yo, I'm gonna say one more comment because I gotta chime off real quick. I gotta go run some errands, but I fell off earlier. That's why I had to come back on and just you asked about Bridgerweight. So you see, Bridgerweight is supposed to be now from 290 to 224 or 225, something like that. You know what I mean? So Bridgerweight is supposed to be the from the cruiserweight up to heavyweight, right? So that's why they built that division, and they already got people. And let me tell you something. Also, I don't know if everybody knows this, but anybody that you see ranked in that division, they had to already, because they gave them a 1 year a grace period to define themselves in that whether they wanted to be heavyweight or Bridgerweight. So anybody that you see ranked in that means that they already agreed to those terms. So don't be calling other people, like ducks and shit like that. If these people already signed up for it, you know what I mean? Because they had a 1 year grace period, and they only announced this like 2.5 months ago. You know what I mean? So just saying. But anyway, when it comes to Canelo, I don't see him going to Bridgerweight. That's too heavy for him. If he's not gonna go to light heavyweight, he's not gonna go to cruiserweight. It's too much for him. He already said it. He's wants to settle at 168, and then he said he may go to 160. It just depends.
Okay, that's what it is. So he's basically content on collecting straps, and no more divisions to his resume. But he's doing a damn good job at 54 victories already, and his only defeat is to one of the best to ever do it. So
exactly.
Hey, it's going to be tough for anybody to become the A side against Canelo Alvarez. Seriously. I mean, I'm hoping that Terence Crawford moves up in weight to 54, because once Jermall Charlo vacate, because I do believe he'll face the winner of Brian Castellano and Patrick Teixeira. I do believe he'll vacate and move up. He's just trying to allow Errol Spence the perfect time, when that time comes to vacate, so Errol can move up and probably fight for a vacant title and become a 2-division champion right off the rip. Right when he steps up to 54, he gets the title shot or fight for the vacant. I don't think it'll be any emails in that motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? I think he have to fight for the vacant, and here come 2-division champion. So I really hope that Terence Crawford moves up to 54 before he call it quits and pick up a 4th division, man. Mitch say, that'd be good strap. I can see Andrade win on points. Look, man, I really want to see Andrade fight a big name. But it's unfortunate, man. These brothers out here just dangling for nothing. They have big names, so to speak. But, man, showing off your cars and shit, it takes a lot more, man. When Andre's name come out, don't too many people say any good things about it. They just talk about who he should fight. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm just waiting for him, Charlo, somebody. Triple G is waiting for Canelo Alvarez. I mean, damn. I wish Charlo would just step up and say, okay, let me fight Demetrius Andrade instead of waiting on Saul Canelo Alvarez. Just rewatched Roy versus Trinidad yesterday. Tito couldn't hurt Roy. Too small. Roy looked good at 39. Yeah, man. Shout out to Roy Jones Jr., man. Tito Trinidad. Shout out to Tito Trinidad too, man. King said Canelo definitely said he's best at, yes, 168 and 160. I agree. Canelo looks strong at 68. Man, that's what I'm saying, man. Canelo looks strong at 68. But can we not say he didn't look strong at 175? He still got the KO. That's all I'm saying. He got the KO, man.
Quicker at 175 than this fight with Caleb Smith.
Oh, yeah,
He got the decision, the unanimous with Caleb Smith at 168, but you see he knocked Kovalev out at 175. So that looked like easier work to the, the eye,
But also put this into consideration there too, IB, that Callum Smith was younger than Sergey Kovalev, dog.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. But we seen what Kovalev done to a young Anthony Yard, too, though.
Yeah, for sure.
And that was a dog fight.
Yeah. But I can't put too much emphasis in lines in the camp because it was more like Cubs in the camp, dog. He just lost again. It was all hype, dog. You talking about a cat who didn't even have sparring partners and shit at one time. He just thought he was blessed from God.
No, you're right, but it is those special fighters that feel a certain type of way, and that might be the reason why they move the way they move. But that's on them. If I'm a fighter, I'm getting some sparring in my training camp.
This man up here having promo, he a physical specimen in shape. This motherfucker, yelling lines in the camp, and he get knocked out from a jab, dog. Man, that shit was hilarious, dog. I mean, he came back and recently lost, man. I'm like, damn. Andre looking to fight Billy Joe Saunders. Wouldn't be surprised if Canelo entertained an Anthony Yard fight. Anthony Yard has no belts right now. So for him to entertain an Anthony Yard fight, what is he to gain? Right now, Canelo is only fighting fights that he's going to gain some type of championship strap from. That's all I'm seeing from damn Canelo Alvarez.
The only way he'd entertain that fight is if Yard would have beat Kovalev when they fought, and it didn't happen.
It didn't happen, man. Anthony Yard is below average professional. I agree, man. I agree. So let me ask you about your boy Devin Haney, a fighter that you support, because I don't like saying your boy. Okay. Have you heard any word of who he's fighting next?
I definitely rock with young Devin Haney. He's definitely one of my top guys for sure. But
have y'all heard anything who he's fighting next?
You said what?
Have you who do you think Devin Haney should fight next? Let's put this out there. Let's frame this there, IB. Okay. So you already know what's happening. Team Williams called out Devin Haney, and Bill talked to Mike. The fight not happened, but we felt we wanted the Devin Haney fight, right? So putting that as, we think Michael Williams Jr. matches up well with Devin Haney. And seeing that the way he looked with Yorkis Gamboa even proved my point even more. You know what I'm saying? That it would be a good fight for Michael Williams to step in there. Now, you're a smart cat, right? Going off the Zaul Abdullah fight, 11-0 there, IB, and Alfredo Santiago. What's the difference in those two opponents than Michael Williams Jr.? What is the difference when somebody asks, what is he ranked, or whatever the case may be? What is the difference between him facing 11-0 Abdullayev and a 12-0 Santiago?
It's really no difference. The only difference is my man Williams Jr. is a brother. I feel like you should give him, you know what I mean, the equal opportunity if you fight a guy like Abdulayev or Santiago. And Santiago gave Devin Haney a great fight, just like I feel Williams Jr. would, 150 would too. So that it's really no difference in those guys. They was all undefeated. Coming up in their careers, it's no difference at all. But for the next fight,
all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying, IB. That's why I got respect for your opinion and the way you express yourself and when it comes to boxing. Because me, I'm looking at it. It's no, when black people come in on other black athletes and just say, for instance, it's not in favor of, that don't mean you're hating. It's not. It doesn't have anything to do with hating. It's just a competition. It's just a challenge. It's just going out here trying to be the best at what you do. And I could see if Devin Haney had a resume that he had all these O's on his record of top level competition, and he was the unified champion right now. Let's just say Devin Haney fought someone for the WBC belt. Let's just say he was the IBF champion, so to speak, and he fought a champion for both of those belts. Now, William Jr. were coming into the picture. It would be tough. Even us talking behind the scenes, it'll be tough for us to make a point because we're looking at Devin Haney and what he's been able to accomplish, and he's a unified champion in lightweight. You know what I'm saying? Or, for instance, just say Devin Haney was in Teofimo Lopez's position, and he was the unified champion. Who are we to come up here and say, okay, he fought Teofimo Lopez, he fought Richard Comey. Let's throw Javier Fortuna on there. You know what I'm saying? Let's place Vasily Lomachenko. Then we don't have a leg to stand on. But we felt we did have a damn valid point to face Devin Haney because your last two opponents outside of Gamboa was 11-0 and 12-0, and Michael Williams Jr. is 14-0. So I'm looking at Devin Haney's record through 14 fights, and Williams Jr. It's really not too much of a difference. But I'm looking at the last two opponents. I always do comparison shit. So I'm looking at the last two opponents outside Gamboa, who's 39 years old tomorrow. I'm saying to myself, what's the difference between Alfredo Santiago and Zaud Abdulayev when it comes to Williams Jr., bro? That's all we was trying to say. If you're going to wait until Teofimo Lopez comes back from fighting George Kambosos, who are you fighting in between that time?
Yeah, that's the Fortuna. I mean, I want to see this undisputed fight at 135 for Devin Haney. I don't really care about seeing nobody else. You know what I mean? But if he does fight anybody in between getting that fight, even if he does get that fight or he don't get that fight, I mean, if you would fight somebody like a Santiago, why not fight, you know what I mean, a young cat that you're familiar with and give him an opportunity too?
It's a 14-0 record. I mean, you're looking at an undefeated record. Now, we always talking about O's and O's and O's, but some of these cats that has O's on their record, just like boxing has a format that allows people to just enter the sport. And of course, when you enter the sport professionally, your record is clean. Your amateur career doesn't bleed over to your professional career like that. So just say, for instance, Vasily Lomachenko might be sitting at over 400 fights to this. So what's his negotiation process going to be? You know, when he turned professional, he say, "Oh, so and so's 400 and 2 at 3 or whatever." We definitely got to get him a title shot. That's not the case. So when these fighters build up their professional records, it's based off who they fought when they were starting. They're not killers. They go to where they can pick up the wins to build up the record. So when I see or hear, rather, you know, Devin Haney not wanting to give Michael Williams Jr. a shot, and hear Bill saying that, okay, keep on chugging along, keep on doing what you're doing, I'm saying to myself, like, you can't sit up here and act like you all have been fighting killers when you have Abdulayev and Santiago on your record. There's no hate or anything. You just fought Zaud Abdulayev and Alfredo Santiago, who had minimal fights in the U.S. grid. So why not fight Michael Williams Jr., who also have a big following? You know, that's all I'm saying. Like, fight him.
I mean, I can kind of answer your question. I mean, I don't know what they're thinking in their mind or nothing like that. But from looking at it on the outside, looking in, and them being familiar with a guy like Williams Jr., you know, 150, I look at it as it's too high a risk and low reward. You know, maybe they feel like they chasing after, you know what I mean, fights that they could, you know what I mean, benefit off of, that they know they're going to win. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, but maybe they don't feel like that. Maybe they feel like he's too high a risk for the reward he's going to bring to the table if that fight was to ever happen. I don't know.
And like I said, I respect your opinion. I'm not asking you as if you speaking for Team Haney. I'm just discussing it because of that's a fighter that you support wholeheartedly. You know, I'm with Team Williams, and I've been with them for a while now. But you know, it got to the point where we wanted to step in there and see if we get the fight with Team Haney. I don't know when it comes to black people calling out other black people, it has to be any hate. Even with Bill, I'm not doing anything except keeping it 100 when we trying to call out a fight. If no one's calling you out, then how should you feel? You know what I'm saying? And people not giving Devin Haney a lot of respect when it comes to being a 3-time freaking email champion. You know what I'm saying? When it comes down to it, yeah, he is the belt holder. But then you have to look at how you picked up the title, bro. You went in recess and was stripped from the title and then came back in there. And just because, you know, Javier Fortuna shit fell out and all that, you picked up the belt again. You know, so I don't know what's popping with that. But I can tell you this. It's unfortunate that certain individuals that support Devin Haney, and he's somebody's kid first and foremost. So I got respect for him in that part of it, but I'm talking strictly boxing. You have people in his camp like Amari that's sitting up here calling Williams Jr. a bum, right? So now that he's put it out there in public record for whatever reason, and the video is out there, I say this. It's easy for Amari to call somebody a bum because he's still young and he supports Team Haney. I get it. But then there's the opportunity for him later on to hopefully get a chance to prove that Williams Jr. is a bum. Just don't put it out there because that means nothing to the real ones. You know, just don't say, okay, he's a bum. Who is that? That's what you're supposed to say. You rocking with Team Haney. You're supposed to say some shit like that. They support, you know, you in their camp. You're part of the team.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely agree with you. And like you said, I definitely support Devin Haney. You know, his skill set. I've been following, you know what I mean, what they've been doing since he went down to Mexico early in his career. You know, that's what opened my eyes. You know, one of the youngest cats, you know what I mean, in boxing, couldn't go pro in the U.S. at the time. So they took it a different route, you know, and a lot of people following that route to this day, you know.
Yeah.
But you just got to look at it for what it is. You know, we got to look at the facts of the matter. You know what I mean? Who he's fought, who his opponents have fought. You just got to look at it for what it is, man. You can't, no matter how much you support a fighter, facts is facts. You know, we can't hold hands in this game just because we support a certain fighter. We got to call it for what it is. So why not give this young cat 150 a shot, especially being a real boxing fan? Iron sharpens iron. If you know he got what it takes to make a great fight with your son, why not make the fight? Unless you're worried about him not bringing in the residuals that you feel like you deserve for all the years you put in. That'd be the only thing I could see why you wouldn't want to make the fight. It's too high a risk. And you feel like he's not bringing enough to the table for you or your camp. That's the only thing I can see, World Combat Sports. But I want to see the best fight the best. Iron sharpen iron, cotton don't.
You're damn right about that. You know, cotton. If you put some motherfucking you know, some cleaning solvent on there, it can shine some shit up, but it ain't gonna sharpen it. You know, solid analogy. I get it. You know, J8 said, let me see, who is this? They should give Williams Jr. a shot. Haney said, T.O. not giving him a shot, then he should give Williams Jr. a shot. I don't see Haney doing that because Bill first thing is saying Williams Jr. don't have nothing to offer. I'm glad you said Williams Jr. don't have nothing to offer. Okay, I see them going a different route. So Jay, like we just mentioned, what does Zahu Abdullayev have and Alfredo Santiago outside of an O in their record? And not only that, Williams Jr. has more fights, more wins professionally than either one of those fights, and he's been fighting on the U.S. footprint and has a larger following over here than Abdullayev and Santiago. So when Bill says, you know, what do we have to offer and who's going to pay this for that for Devin, who paid what did Abdullayev do? There's no way that Abdullayev was the A side. There's no way that Santiago was the A side over Devin Haney. How did they get into the ring? The same way. He said, Williams Jr. not getting a fight right now, man. No one said he was. You must not heard what I said earlier. I said Bill and his father, Senior, spoke. And they said, keep on doing what you're doing. But right now, they're looking for bigger fish. All right? So this is funny to me. And I know you on the panel, but I'm just having a dialogue because you're a sensible brother. You're an intelligent brother when it comes to them having dialogue as grown men. So when it comes down to Bill saying, or people saying that Williams Jr. has nothing to offer, I'm saying, why would you pick up a Yorkis Gamboa who's just came off Achilles tear? He's old. He's 39 years old tomorrow. And Gervonta Davis just knocked him out last year in December. Like, it's certain things I'm not getting, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are we talking about offering?
Yeah, man. Gamboa, you know, respects to him for taking these fights like Devin Haney and, you know, the Tank Davises, but I mean, he's 1 foot out the door. You know, I feel like he's getting as much money as he can before he can retire. You know, it's time to let these young boys get in here and, you know, get in the ring and mix it up a little bit. But Gamboa would be the best name on Devin Haney's resume. You know, salute to him for stepping up. You know what I mean? But if you're not about to get a Teofimo next or anything like that, don't go fighting another Santiago. Don't go fighting another when you can give a brother that you're familiar with, like Williams Jr., a shot to go in there and mix it up. You know what I'm saying? There shouldn't be no reason why you know what I mean? And they said, shoot, it's cheaper. Should we not asking for a lot? You know, we might not have you know, it shouldn't be no reason not to. But, you know, it's up to them, not me. I'm just on the outside looking in. I want to see the best fight the best. I want to see great fights. I want to see these young cats go in there and mix it up and, you know what I mean, get the fans what they want.
How do you feel about Teofimo Lopez, man? You know, he stopped through Eddie Hearn. He first yelled out 10 million. You know, I guess that he was trying to say that's the ticket. Then his dad came back and said, no, 7 million. So basically 7 million. They saying 7 million to fight Devin Haney. So Teofimo is really riding high, and he should. And this is why I'm saying it, IB. He fought Nakatani, Richard Comey, and Vasil Lomachenko, top 2 pound for pound at the time. Do you think it's fair and it's reasonable for him to come in and say for Devin Haney, if he's going over there to fight Kambosos for a heavy bag, to come back and say, hey, Eddie, this is what we're looking at, 7 million. You think that's reasonable to fight Haney for the undisputed?
I mean, they could start the negotiations at 7, you know, whether he get down to about like 4, maybe 3, who knows? That still would be reasonable too. It's an undisputed bout. Both guys are young. I don't think neither of them made 7 million in one fight. So $7 million flat, I don't feel like that's a reasonable offer right there, but you can negotiate, you know what I'm saying, and come to a, you know what I mean, nice amount of money that you could possibly take. But 7 million for that fight would be a little bit, you know what I mean, out the question for both fighters, in my opinion. If you feel like, I mean, Teofimo, he definitely done what he put the work in, man, knocking out Richard Comey, IBF belt, grabbed it, you know what I mean, doing what he did against a Lomachenko, most definitely. But 7 million, that's a little bit out of range, in my opinion, for that fight to be made. It shouldn't take $7 million for you to all of a sudden want to get into the ring with Devin Haney after you said that fight would take 3 to 5 years to make because of, you know, you don't feel like Devin Haney is, you know what I mean, a type of name like Loma yet. And it'll take him 3 to 5 years for that fight to happen. But all of a sudden you get 7 million or 10 million and you want to make the fight. I just don't really understand that part of it. You know what I mean?
Now check this out, IB. It's not evolving around that. When I did the interview with David McWard, who is the manager of Teofimo Lopez, they said the $2 million that Teofimo negotiated, you know, for the Vasyl Lomachenko fight was much less than what they was asking. So let's just say, for instance, they was asking 4.5 to 5 for Vasyl Lomachenko during the pandemic. Now that we're heading over into 2021, we're talking about potentially more live gate, you know what I'm saying? The PPV, putting it out there. So he goes over there, and for George Kambosos, he increased, you know, his revenue as far as, you know, his Wall Street as a fighter. Let's just say it's clear that he's making $8 to $10 million over there for George Kambosos. If that is indeed true, when he comes back over here for a Devin Haney fight, he is supposed to fight extremely lower. Just say he makes $8 million. He's supposed to fight for $4 million, half of what he just made with Kambosos, or should he keep that margin around the same line?
No, most definitely you keep that margin. Most definitely, never, you know what I mean, underbid yourself. You know, I want to see the fighters make as most as they can. You know, they put the life on the line. Coming from a boxing fan, though, you know, I want to see fighters make the most they can fight. You know, but we got realistic, then we got unrealistic. But if he got that to fight a Kambosos, he should most definitely get more to fight a Devin Haney. If that was the case, I wouldn't take anything less, especially with everything being on the line.
I mean, that's all. That's what I'm saying too.
And that type of risk, you know, that's just, you know, that was an easy question to answer right there, you know.
And that's what I'm saying when it comes down to, you know, just because I'm advocating for another fighter, I'm never going to be the person who sit up here and say, well, he don't deserve shit. You know, that's hating. That's hating when it comes down to it. When people saying, well, I wish and they don't, or what if. Go out there and get whatever you choose to get. But at the end of the day, when you're trying to sell yourself as one of the top priorities on IG rather than in boxing, that's when I have a problem with it. Now, when I'm looking at your resume and it's still in the blossoming stages, then you have to understand one thing. Mauricio Suleiman diluted the belt that you have by allowing someone to be the franchise champion. Not only did he dilute the belt that you have, but the way you received the belt was further diluted because they basically gave you an elevation process via email. Now, we all know that Devin Haney them don't want to hear that shit about email, bro. I get it. I wouldn't want to hear that shit either. But now you're getting to a point where you want to prove to the people, you want to fight the unified champion who did it better than you, who has a better resume than you with less fights. Teofimo Lopez was able to do it in 16 freaking fights. Unify his first division that he became a world champion in. Now, I'm absolutely curious that IB on what the percentage should be with Teofimo fighting Nakatani, Richard Comey, and defeating the top 2 pound for pound. What in the hell is Devin Haney's negotiation process going to be? I mean, I can include Bill Haney because Bill Haney plays an intricate role in Devin Haney's career. But damn, he's a unified champion going in there with the champion who has a devalued title when it comes to the franchise title. So what do you think that percentage should be? Should it be damn 60-40, 50-50? What?
If it depends on, you know, if Teofimo comes over to DAZN per se, I wouldn't be mad at a 60-40, but in Teofimo's favor, just like if it was on ESPN, Teofimo will most definitely get that 60-40 split. Most definitely. You got, you know what I'm saying? It's just more brought to the table on Teofimo's side. We just got to look at it for what it is. You know what I'm saying? And if you that confident, everybody's going to make some money. But we just got to look at it for what it is, man. Who's more accomplished at 135?
So you're saying it should be no less than 60-40, like 70-30. It should be 60-40 or 50-50. It's definitely not 50-50. Okay.
I would say I would lean more towards 60-40 in Teofimo's favor right now.
Okay. I understand that. I can understand where you at with that. I don't think 60-40 is a bad number. You know what I'm saying? But I'm looking at who he has on his resume. He don't have a Jokic Gamboa there, IB. Teofimo Lopez has a freaking Vasil Lomachenko right now. You know what I'm saying? Like he has no Gamboas. He has no Santiago's or Abdulayevs. So I'm looking at like 70-30 for this fight. Real talk.
That's not far off though. That's not far off. But I want to give my man his just dues. He fought who he could. You know what I mean, and he handled them accordingly. I mean, Gamboa is his only credible name. Gamboa is still still a great name to have.
Great.
Gamboa is a great name. I mean, I put it like this: Gamboa's fought.
How he gonna be a great name?
The greatest. He's fought some of the greatest. Put it like that.
Okay, I mean, come on,
whether
bro.
win, lose, or draw, he lost against. You know what I'm saying? But he's still. But he's not like a Lomachenko. You know what I mean at all. But I'm still giving my man the short end of the stick. I said 60-40 in Teofimo's favor because the accomplishments. Like we talked about earlier, you just got to call a spade, man. Teofimo is that guy right now, and they know it. It ain't hard to see. We know who got most of them belts. We know who just beat the great Lomachenko, 298-1 in the amateurs, some stuff like that.
Correct.
Almost 300 amateur fights. He like 298-1. He's a great fighter. Beat Gary Russell. You know what I mean? But we just got to look at it for what it is right now. And Teofimo got the job done, man. Whether you like him personally, that has nothing to do with boxing. We're talking boxing.
Do you think either one of these fighters, man, like Ryan Garcia, say for instance, Ryan Garcia is due to face Luke Campbell. He beats him, right? Who do you think Ryan Garcia should step in the ring with next? Who has the better value for Ryan Garcia once he becomes the interim WBC champion? Who should he step in there with? And I'm not saying just say Devin Haney because he's going to be the interim WBC champion. But from my understanding, I'm hearing Ryan Garcia calling out Gervonta Davis. Do you think Ryan Garcia is looking at it like, I'm going for the money too? I'm going to go for the PPV. I'm going to go over here with Gervonta for that fight. And, with the record he has, I don't think Ryan Garcia cares about taking the L right now. I'm just being honest, man.
I mean, Ryan Garcia is one of those fighters, man. He wants to be great. He knows what he's worth. He knows what he brings to the table. But I want to look at the history that him and Devin Haney got, like in the amateurs. I feel like a lot of people and a lot of real boxing fans want to lean more towards that fight, Ryan and Devin. I feel like that fight, but though, that might necessarily wouldn't be the correct fight to make right now. Right now, I feel like the timing is off as well with Tank. Him being under Mayweather, that fight might not be the correct fight to make right now. If they want to throw Ryan Garcia against a Tank right now, that's on Golden Boys. Whether they want to let they cash cow, they young buck coming up, taking a risk like that, that's on them. I'm pretty sure Mayweather and them might let Tank go out there and handle him, but I don't see Ryan Garcia going in there beating a Tank. He has a better fight with Devin Haney, in my opinion.
I think he has an easier route, being, he would be the interim WBC. He has an easier route to go in there and face Devin Haney. It's all about if they respect that Devin Haney's value is up there with Ryan Garcia. Because look, that tells a different picture when it comes down to it. If Ryan Garcia comes out and defeat Luke Campbell, and he doesn't even mention Devin Haney's name, he don't even want to consider Devin Haney's name, then that's all what I'm talking about. Like, I understand you're making the money, but at the end of the day, when you sleep at night, You want to be able to be respected and recognized by the boxing community more. Real talk. And I respect the fruits of your labor. Continue to grow the branches however you see fit, my brother. But we're talking about boxing game right here. And you definitely have to step up your notoriety in the sport by facing different competitions. Because at the end of the day, man, boxing fans are loyal one second and disloyal the next motherfucking 2 months until you get a fight. That's how boxing fans are. It's going to come a point where it don't matter what you place on IG. The brothers need to understand, yeah, it's okay for the culture, but you don't see a lot of damn European fighters. You don't see a lot of Mexican fighters stunting for the gram to build up their notoriety. They can walk in there and be the fan favorite without all this damn shit on IG. Manny Pacquiao ain't stunting on IG. And that motherfucking go in there. I know I'm Manny Pacquiao. I'm going to get 20 million next fight. He don't have to stunt. He never did. And that's what I want, my people to understand. Like, you stunting on IG. Is the black fans really going to support you loyalty-wise? Are they going to commit? Nah. They're just going to tune in. We'll look at your shit and say, oh, okay. All right. But like Ryan Garcia, he has this dynamic that he's able to bring in these women fan base, and he has all these motherfucking followers, and most of what he places IB on damn IG is training videos and shit. He's doing the speed bag reactionary drills and shit. But for black men, we gotta goddamn find a vehicle to sit in and post motherfucking blocks of money. And still, when fighters like Ryan Garcia come out of a fight, and we're asking ourselves, okay, what's next for Ryan Garcia? He's like, oh, I'm looking for Gervonta Davis. Why? Because Gervonta Davis is with Floyd Mayweather. Like, he's sticking to what's the popularity. I think more so Devin Haney is trying to be more like Floyd Mayweather with the fleet, but not with the resume. I think that's going to be a problem. It's different for black to Mexican to European. It is, man. I'm just being honest, bro.
And it's a lot of different things, like you said, the social media and stuff like that plays into, the Ryan Garcia's minds and stuff like that. Like, being great is a totally different thing than being popular, being famous, being known. To be great, you got to fight the greatest. You got to fight the toughest competition. You got to gain belts. You got to fight champions. You got to solidify yourself in a sport of boxing and be known in the sport of boxing from fighting the greatest. Like the Muhammad Ali's, the Sugar Ray Leonard, Bernard Hopkins, Roy Jones, those type of guys. They wasn't ducking nothing. They wasn't letting politics get in between. They wanted to fight the best of the best. Not just because a certain person sells more or this fighter is a pay-per-view star or nothing like that. You got to get in there with the best, period. That's going to make you fan friendly. That's going to boost your views, believe it or not. Not posting all these pictures like you said, or us having to post X of money or none of that. Real boxing fans support the best fight and the best fighters. Becoming a champion, solidifying your legacy one piece at a time. But you can't backtrack fighting these, you know what I'm saying? But that's just how boxing is. Certain fighters might take a tune-up in between big fights. Okay, that's cool. But I would rather have it in boxing, man. If I could implement it, the number 1 ranked fighter should always fight the number 2 ranked fighter. The number 3 ranked fighter should always fight the number 4 ranked fighter. The winner of that fighter should fight the number 2 or the number 1 ranked fighter. The ranking systems is all out of whack.
Hey, solid point, man. I totally agree, man. Like, that shit is all discombobulated, man, when it comes down to it. Like, people need to understand how sporadic boxing is right now, depending on who gonna fight who. Like, we can sit up here, man. It's exhausting talking about Terence Crawford and Errol Spence, because at one point in time when they met up when Bob Arum was on deck, we was like, yeah, this shit about to pop off, this, that, and the other. And then I heard Errol Spence say, why not go the Sean Porter route? And I'm like, damn, he ain't trying to fight Crawford right now. He's going a whole nother route. So when I see him hop in the ring with Sean Porter, I'm like, okay, All right, he trying to get the fight. Boom, boom, boom. Then Danny Garcia, same thing with Errol Spence. So when Errol Spence asks why Terence Crawford is showing up, he don't know why. Then it's like this. I haven't heard Canelo whining about Triple G wanting to fight him in a trilogy. He understands there's a history together. So why not you all on the backside of your career create a motherfucking rivalry? It's almost like Errol Spence don't want a rivalry. Terence Crawford is your rivalry right now. Both of y'all in the same division. So why don't you just give him that play and say, you know what, let's build up this motherfucking fight and make money. Let's do what Floyd Mayweather did with somebody that wasn't even on the radar until they fought Adrian Broner. Marcus Maidana wasn't even on the fucking radar like that. He went in there and gave Adrian Broner the business. And genius is Floyd. Floyd say, all right, hey, get on the phone with Maidana's people. I want to fight him. Not only did Floyd Mayweather fight him, that he got a 2-for-1 with Maidana, man. Argentinian OG, Chino. You know what I'm saying? That's smart shit. But when I'm looking at this day and time, I see Errol Spence running all over here, you know, trying to get Canelo fight. And then, you know, he has a rivalry right here. Pacquiao out the door. Forget Pacquiao. But he has a rivalry that he can make some money off of that people want to see in Terence Crawford. That's all I'm saying to this. Like, you have a damn valuable opponent right here. Y'all around the same damn age. 30, 33, you turn 31 in January. Okay, fight. Get the fight out the way for the undisputed. Put a rematch in there and hit the fans for 2-for-1. Y'all both get paid.
And they might get paid more in that rematch, honestly, you know, because that rematch could have possibly happened when, you know, this fight should have been happened, but that rematch is going to bring so much more publicity to both fighters, not just one fighter, to both fighters. Like, if it's a close fight and it goes the distance and they got that rematch clause implemented, I guarantee you this second fight is going to do more numbers than the first fight did. So let's benefit twice off this fight. Like, I really stand behind that. If that rematch clause is implemented in the contract and this first fight is a good fight and it goes a distance regardless of who wins, that second fight is going to be a lot more interesting. You feel me? Especially if Errol Spence loses the first fight.
Absolutely.
Oh, man.
Somehow my volume went out. Hold on. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you good. You good on my end. I'm not sure
okay,
if
you went out. Okay.
I can hear you. Oh, I went out.
I think you went out. Hold on for a second, man.
Did you hear what I said about, especially if Errol Spence loses the first fight, if the rematch clause is?
No, you went out. What you say?
I said I feel like the second fight, if a rematch clause was implemented in a contract, that it'll sell and it'll be more beneficial to both fighters in that second fight than the first fight, especially if Errol Spence loses that first fight. A lot more fans will tune in. A lot of casuals that seen that first fight, wherever they seen it, whether they bought it or not, they're gonna buy that next one. They're gonna make sure they don't miss that next one. You know what I'm saying? Man. So I feel like that second fight would be a lot more, you know what I'm saying, beneficial to both fighters. It'd be a lot better for the boxing fans to see, you know what I mean, what's going on, who wants to get back on who. But it'll definitely benefit, you know what I mean, Terence Crawford, because listen, Terence Crawford been under a contract at Top Rank. You know what I'm saying? He hasn't really been that much, you know what I'm saying, getting that much money off these pay-per-view fights because he hasn't really sold that much. But this is the time to scrape up, man. Like you said, he about to be 33 years old. So implementing the rematch clause in the Errol Spence fight, man, that's going to lead you to more bread. You feel me? And a possible, if you win, you know, more accolades into your legacy right there. Then I guarantee, like you said, he'll move up to 140. The ball is on his court now. He'll really move up to 140 after 154 after that. My fault. He'll really move up to 154 after that.
And solid point, man. I agree, bro. Like that's the smart part of it. That's what was so genius about Floyd and how he went out here and manipulated the money train, man. Like, god damn. People didn't even see what outfit he wore when he fought Conor McGregor. He wore a ski mask in that motherfucker. He was telling you all he robbing the motherfucking bank, man.
For robbery.
I mean, come on, man. Like he robbing the motherfucking bank. And that's a solid fucking point. I just look at it like Errol Spence is not willing to use that intelligence to create a rivalry with damn Terence Crawford and get the damn rematch in that motherfucking man and make 2 for 1. He's not willing to do it because he thinks the way he feels, he believes that I'm gonna go chase the cash cow. You know, Floyd Mayweather made himself the cash cow. You know, even though he had to make some compromise with Oscar De La Hoya, he still went and made the fight. Boom, got it done and kept it moving. This man's trying to do whatever, man. Like he's trying to come out of anywhere and say, I want to go up here and fight Canelo Alvarez. And I can see if Canelo Alvarez was giving you attention, Errol, but Canelo Alvarez really haven't put your name on the docket. He hasn't put your name on the challenge docket to say, you know what, I really want to fight that fighter. What's that? That fighter? What? Translator? Errol? EJ? Yeah, let him fight EJ. He ain't did that shit. Deion Washington in the building. What's good, man? D-Ray say Canelo about to fight, about to get another franchise belt. Deion said, do you think he's aging Crawford out? Do we think Errol Spence is aging Crawford out? I think he's being petty. And, you know, being that Crawford will turn 34 years old in September next year. He ain't getting no younger. Errol Spence ain't getting any younger. He may be trying to damn stall him out like the Pacquiao shit. You know, he may be trying to damn be petty. Real talk. What you think about that, IB? You think Errol Spence is trying to, you know, age Crawford out, have him pick up another year and shit like that? I mean, what you think?
I mean, going off what Errol Spence said out of his mouth, he felt like the fight could, you know what I mean, possibly happen next year, which is 2021. So if it doesn't happen next year, I could lean more towards saying that, you know what I mean, he's stalling out. You know what I mean? Because if this fight hasn't happened in 2021, then what are we talking about right here? We all wasting time, you know what I mean, talking about it, the same topics in these chats and stuff like that, but the fight hasn't came to, you know, he's wasting everybody's time, you know? So if he wastes any more time of our time after 2021, man, I could lean towards, you know, you said that he's aging him out, but, you know, a boxer knows when it's time to hang the gloves up, you know? He knows, you know, we still got the Manny Pacquiao's doing it, you know, the Gamboa's doing it, you know, the Luis Ortiz's. So Terence Crawford is cut from the same cloth like that. And I feel like Terence Crawford gonna hang the gloves up when he's goddamn ready to hang those gloves up. And I don't think it's soon, you know, unless he feel like he's good enough to just go ahead and, you know, handle his business with his family or got other investments going on. And that's his choice to do so. But I feel like Terence Crawford got a lot left in the tank, in my opinion. Yeah. He got a lot left. So who knows? But 2021, if that fight doesn't happen, then yeah, it's some stalling going on. And I don't understand why.
Man, hey. He said he got 2 to 3 fights in 21. But if you have 2 to 3 fights, man, just tell us who's gonna be your. I mean, I'm talking about kicking in the door on 21. Who it is? Just let us know so we can talk about something different. If it's gonna be Manny Pacquiao, okay, tell us so we can start talking about this shit over here. Not just say, okay, I got two fights in 21. I got 2 to 3 fights. His team said 3 fights. Errol said 2 fights. Which one is it gonna be? Because it's gonna be tough for him to do 3 fights. And say, okay, just say, for instance, 2 killers out of the 3. We don't know who else is going to be in between that. If it's going to be Crawford, the second fight in 21, at least give us some indication that's where you headed. But don't just start, continue to denigrate Crawford and act like, I'm the top dog at 147. So you take these little scraps I'm passing to you under the door. And now we're talking about real shit here, Errol. You're one of the top dogs at welterweight division, but you're behind Terence Crawford on the pound for pound list. So let's be reasonable. Let us know if you plan on fighting Terence Crawford in 21 and when it's going to be. Are you going to try to get that WBA strap? Okay, cool. We respect that. I respect that. But then who's next? I don't want to hear no Canelo. I don't want to hear no Canelo. If you one strap off, focus on that one strap and set up the fight with Terence Crawford for the undisputed. So we can look forward to that shit in 21 like we did when Teofimo Lopez and Vasil Lomachenko came on deck. That's all we want. We want consistency. We want to have some definitively, and that would be it. Just tell us, hey, is it going to be Terence Crawford the second fight in 21? And then so we can start talking about something else. If not, people are going to get frustrated with Errol Spence and say, man, all he doing is damn capping. He talking shit, man. He ain't going to fight Terence Crawford.
Yeah, it's gonna come to that point, If you won 3 fights in 2021, man, your next fight you should already be looking at the fight in like around March, around the Marchish area, March, maybe early April or something like that. Then you come back, in like July, early September, and then you end the year out with a December fight. That's the only way. But you want to become undisputed, right? So you got to unify in 2021, period. You got to unify in 2021, period, whether it's Manny Pacquiao, like you said, or the Terence Crawford, So why not go for what the fans want to see more? We want that Terence Crawford fight in 2021. That's what we want to know for sure. If Manny Pacquiao is still sticking around and he ain't relinquished that title, doing whatever he's doing, I don't know what's next for Manny. If he don't fight Errol Spence or, I haven't really heard him and Terence Crawford. I don't know if that's even in the talks right now, but I don't know what Manny's doing, but I do know what Errol Spence wants. And I do know what Bud Crawford wants. And they both talking like they want to make this happen, to unify, these 3 belts, Errol Spence having his belts, WBC, IBF, and of course the WBO on Terence Crawford's side. So that fight is the fight I want to see in 2021 because I don't know what Manny's doing. He doesn't sound he don't sound too confident wanting the Errol Spence fight, and it looked like they already shot down him and Terence Crawford once. So I don't know if he's going to fight Mikey Garcia. I don't know what he's doing, but I want to see a unification at 147 World Combat. That's what I want to see.
Man, I agree with you on that. Real talk, man. I just want to see a unification because it's one of the biggest fights. Now, of course, it's funny that the Lomachenko and freaking Teofimo Lopez fight just came out. And not only did it come out, it came out with that motherfucking closing distance. Boom, they locked up and the fight was on deck free. We tuned in and seen it. It lived up sort of to the expectation. It has the drama. It had the climax to the 8th and 11th round where we actually thought motherfucking Teofimo Lopez will have to, face adversity because Lomachenko was coming on hard. But then we still have the 140-pound division, Jose Ramirez and Josh Taylor. No one's really talking about that unification. And then we have Jermall Charlo. We're waiting on him to unify. But look, the energy isn't the same with the junior welterweight division and the super welterweight division as far as the unification. Well, we actually know it's taking place, but no one's really talking about it like that. And salute to Jermall Charlo, man. He's one belt away from Patrick Teixeira if he wins against Brian Castano. We're pretty much going to see Jermall Charlo attempt to unify the super welterweight division next year, which is awesome, man. I'm looking forward to it. But at the end of the day, we really want to see the welterweight. We really want to see this Errol Spence and Terence Crawford. And like you said, if it doesn't go down in 21, motherfuckers are going to look up like, man, fuck that, man. We don't care what he's doing with Canelo. He should have fought Bud Crawford. And look, that may bring more fans over to Bud Crawford to say, you know what, you was calling him out. You've been damn stepping up to the plate, but Errol Spence does not want the fight. We understand he don't want the fight. He ain't trying to make it. He's doing everything but trying to make the fight. He's sitting up here trying to give you 70-30 when he's not even trying to entertain the fight, period. So yeah, man, let's see what the fuck happens in 21. Is interesting to say the least. And you know, we still trying to figure out what's going to happen in some of these other divisions. You know, we'll wait and see what Canelo Alvarez has to offer. We'll look and see what the heavyweight division has to offer. I mean, it's just so much going on, man, that we don't even know what the fuck is going to happen, you know, right away when 21 turns over. We just don't know what to look forward to. I don't know. I know for a fact that in the bantamweight division, Naoya Inoue, he's due to face John Casimiro for the unification at the bantamweight division, but nobody's even talking about that shit. You know, even though he's a good dude, he's ranked top pound for pound, top 3, you know, according to the way you look, monster. But then no one's really taking that in consideration. And
no,
then
I want to see that fight. I want to see that. I want to see that Casimiro and Nui fight. And like you said, it's a shame because, you know, not only is Jose Ramirez, Josh Taylor at 140 unification, that's a real undisputed fight. They both own the big belts 2 apiece. They both got 2 belts apiece at 140. So that's a real live undisputed fight right there. No franchise belts. So you can't talk about that right here. So that fight should really be getting pushed as one of the biggest fights happening next, because that's a real undisputed fight, World Combat.
That's right, man. And so is Charlo. Charlo's, you know, Jermall Charlo the same way.
Exactly. Do we still got the missing belt, the missing link? That Texera cat? Do he still hold that missing link?
He has one belt missing, the WBO.
And that's the missing link to Jermall being undisputed, right?
Correct.
See, and that's what's so crazy, because I haven't heard nothing about that guy or try to, you know what I mean, get in the ring to be undisputed or nothing. So I don't know what he's doing, but I know what Jermall want.
I think that fight is going to happen for sure in 21. We can count on that. But that's 2 fights like you just mentioned. 140, 154. We're definitely going to see both of those undisputed. Absolutely. We're going to see both of those undisputed in 21, I believe. You know, I believe. But I just don't know what else. Hey, check this out, though. You know, this is going to be the last topic. Shakur Stevenson, man. We need to keep a lookout on Shakur Stevenson. You know, people are sleeping on him, calling out Miguel Berchelt, you know, calling out all of them, Jojo Diaz. He said he wants to unify the 130-pound division, man. What's your take on that, bro?
You know, I was kind of pissed when they didn't give my man the Oscar Valdez fight, you know, in the past. I was mad at that, you know, but now he's at 130 making a statement. And we all know the talent he brings to the ring. We all know what he's done in the Olympics and all that. Shakur Stevenson is definitely the truth, you know. I would say he's a contender. You know what I mean? All that prospect talk with Shakur Stevenson should be out the question. I would say Shakur Stevenson is definitely one of those top contenders. You know, he's not a champion yet, but Shakur Stevenson definitely brings a lot to the table. He's fighting who he has to fight right now. He's displaying a boxing clinic on these guys. When he does get that first big fight, you know, I don't know who it might be, you know, the Jojo Diaz's or the Miguel Berchelts. I want him to get those fights, but we got to look at, you know, he's still, you know, dealing with Top Rank and all this and that. Don't do Shakur Stevenson. Like, don't maneuver Shakur Stevenson in the way y'all maneuvered Terence Crawford.
Ooh. That's
all I can say.
For real, man.
That's all I can say. Was that good enough, World Cup? That's all I can say.
I hope they don't do that either, bro. And you know what? I remember somebody else mentioning that too. They say, damn, I hope they don't move Shakur Stevenson like they did Terence Crawford. Allow him to pick up some divisions under his belt, and then he doesn't even blossom or grow from there. I don't know, man. I'm gonna keep it positive with Stevenson. I like what he's doing right now. His mentality. His fight with Toka Conclari. It was a wash one-sided, but it wasn't extremely stupid. Like it wasn't extremely boring or whatever, man. I don't see him getting a fight with the winner of Jermall Herring and Josh Taylor right away. I'll be surprised, but him facing Josh Taylor, because I think Josh Taylor beats Herring, that'll be a good fight to me. But will Josh Taylor take the fight? It remains to be seen. A fight between Shakur and JoJo Diaz, absolutely, that'll be good. That's if, you know. And we all know Tank holds the WBA title. And Shakur Stevenson fighting Tank, that'll be a big fight for Shakur Stevenson, especially if he's able to go in there and get the victory. You know, because if Stevenson beats Tank for his 130 title, it's only going to help him when he moves to 135. I don't know if he's trying to become undisputed at the 130-pound division, but he definitely has potential to face some damn good opposition down there in Burchelt, Gervonta Davis, JoJo Diaz, and then Josh Taylor. Absolutely, he has some good names on the lineup, man. But yeah, that's all I got, man. I know Deion Washington said Rigondeaux beats Casemiro and Inoue. At his age, I think Rigondeaux is 42 years old, man. Rigondeaux is still a player in the game. You know, he's still a player in the game. We'll see what's popping with that, man. Any final words you got for anything on boxing there, IB?
Oh no, man. We most definitely touched a lot of topics, you know, since the chat began. Before I even hit the panel, I can touch on that last comment about Rigondeaux. I mean, like you said, he is pretty old, but what I always liked about Rigondeaux, man, he's an accurate puncher, you know, and he always comes to fight. You know what I'm saying? Like, so he's definitely still in the mix, but we got some young lions coming up nowadays. You know what I'm saying? They're not about to lay down to a Rigondeaux. Rigondeaux is going to really have to show some grit. With him being like, you know, 40 plus years old, like you said, he's going to have to show something if he wants to, you know what I mean, stay in the same category at the top of the top. But as far as Shakur Stevenson, man, like you said, man, JoJo Diaz, Miguel Burchelt, you feel me? If they let that Tank Davis fight slide through, we really would love to see that. But in the meantime, we still got Josh Taylor right there. So we'll see what's going on.
I meant to say I beat Deion Washington corrected it. I meant when you get this boxing talk, man, you think it off the recall memory, you know, shit get crossed. But appreciate you, Deion. He said you mean Carl Frampton. It is Carl Frampton, y'all. You know,
you said Josh Taylor. You said Josh Taylor, I think.
Yeah, I said Josh Taylor, which is 140.
You got me off. Yeah, Carl Frampton. Josh Taylor at 140. You got me off. See, you throwing me off, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, Carl Frampton for sure. Carl Frampton. Thank you for that.
Carl Frampton and Stevenson, dog.
Carl Frampton is definitely in the game. You feel me? He's a great fighter. He comes to fight. Come forward if you want to come forward. He can box. You know what I mean? Good head movement. He'll brawl with you if you want to. Carl Frampton is definitely one of those game type of fighters. But when it comes to a Shakur Stevenson, he's special. I feel like he has the more boxing skill, and he's way more fundamentally sound for his age. So, yeah, I definitely got Shakur, man, at 130. But if he fights a Tank, it's up in the air. I don't know about Tank. But I feel like he beats everybody at 130, but I do not know about Tank. If Tank stays at 130, though.
Yeah. Tank stays at 130. He's already a champion there already. You know what I'm saying? He just returned to the division to pick up another belt. So, you know, Deion said Inoue struggled with an old Donaire. Come on now. Well, you're right there, Deion. He basically went in there with a champion, right? Donaire wasn't a pushover. He went life and limb with Nonito Donaire, and that's what he's supposed to do. Like Donaire wasn't motherfucking pushover. Now
that was his best win. That was Inoue's best win, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Nonito Donaire.
Yeah. So I understand where you're coming with Rigondeaux. You got to understand. I can say they're both old, okay? But I can't say just because he struggled with Donaire, he's gonna sit up here and go in there with the Rigondeaux fight and have the same success he did with Donaire. I will have to see how that all works out, man. Like, once again, you're talking about how many miles they have on the speedometer. I know, we're talking about two veterans, but make no mistake about it now. I'm not sitting up here advocating like Monster is this motherfucking untouchable damn bantamweight. He did get exposed to a point. I wouldn't say exposed. I don't like using that word, but he did get to a point where he didn't go in there and dominate Donaire. But when it comes to Rigondeaux, 42 years old, will he be a good challenge? That depends on if he's able to make it out of there with John Casimiro. People sleeping on John Casimiro. I saw when Rigondeaux initially stepped into the damn bantamweight division, he fought, I forgot the dude's name he fought, but he was just using the counter right hook out the pocket. The counter right hook, boom, pivot out, reset. And he did the same thing over and over again. Is he going to be able to get the fight with one of these guys, whoever unifies, or are they going to try to get him a fight with Nordino Bali? You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I don't know what they're trying to do, man. But yeah, good point there, Dion. Thanks for the correction. Okay, I feel we're on the same page now. Yeah, man. I mean, don't think I'm not going to cross-thread points, man, or references going off recall and shit like that. But yeah, Josh Taylor, man, Carl Frampton. I guess, I was saying they all look alike. I was just like, damn. But yeah, we got Carl Frampton at 130, Josh Taylor at 140. You know what it is, man. But those of you that tuned in, man, I appreciate you for pulling up. Once again, turn up and tune in to World Combat Sports. There was holiday boxing talk. And yeah, I'm going to be back on, especially during these holidays, and talk with some more about boxing and MMA. Probably MMA tomorrow or later on tonight. It all depends. But IB, appreciate you pulling up, bro. Always a pleasure, conversing with you about boxing, bro, and having sensible, educated dialogue when it comes to the sport, bro.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you having me, man. Boxing first, all the feelings and all that, leave that at home, man. And we got to call it like it is, man. Facts is facts. Got to call a spade, bro. I appreciate you having me once again, World Combat. Salute to you and salute to the chat, man.
Real talk, and I'm out. IB, hold it down. Happy holidays to you and your fam, man.
Yes, sir. Same to you, brother.
What up? It's your boy Roy Jones Jr. and right now you're tuned into World Combat Sports.